people can hear you. Anybody in here yet? Kind of need somebody.
I can get in there. We got
30
seconds, though.
Anybody in here, talk to me. Okay, David, talk. Can you hear David? Can you hear David? Need you to answer me. Really important, guys. No, they cannot hear you.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Looks like I have to deliver the relief pitch this morning as we have some technical difficulties to get the show started on this Wednesday. How the heck are you? It's as good as I can do for a Wednesday morning. Hopefully we can get things rectified here in short order as for whatever reason the gremlins have appeared and have attacked our broadcast studio. Good morning. I'm Mark Miller. David Moulton will join me shortly. The College Football Playoff Committee, well, they kept everything the same last night, and when asked about the University of Michigan, said we cannot comment. All we can comment is on the football that's on the field. We only can reflect on the teams that are played that are eligible. We can't talk about what will happen if the Big Ten comes down with any sort of suspension today. And then they kept everything essentially the same in the top five, with Michigan, Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, the top four, and Washington, number 5. Trent, you're going to get thrown into action this morning in ways you haven't been before, unless we can get my co-host up and about at some point this morning.
Oh, we will.
So good morning, Trent. How are you this morning?
Excellent. Fantastic. Baptism by fire, baby. Here we go.
Boy, oh boy, this is something from time to time.
We'll figure it out.
That's good to know. With 3 people that don't have any clue what to do here, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
The College Football Playoff Committee last night put their 4 teams up. And I don't really want to focus on the 4 and really the 5. But what we have to focus on are the 1-loss teams and what they are doing with Oregon right now. Because they have put Oregon in a position to get in should they. Right now they have them as the top 1-loss team. Texas is next, Alabama, and Ole Miss. Now, they've set Georgia up with the matchup with Ole Miss to put Georgia at number 1 ahead of Ohio State.
Right.
But what they have done with Oregon to me, and the Pac-12 might not be as good as previously thought, or it's better than previously thought, but they've got Oregon in the spot to give them the bid at 1 loss right now.
Well, that's the challenge with all this stuff, is going back to the beginning when they first decided they wanted to do a CFP and they put 4 teams in. Well, there's, at the time, of course, and still is for one more season at least, there's 5 power conferences. So then it comes down to breaking down which conference you believe to be the strongest and who has the most impressive strength of schedule. And right now, what the committee is essentially telling you is that, I mean, they believe that the Pac-12 is strong enough where Oregon can have a loss and still remain right at the top.
Okay. There you go. Thank you. Because I want to talk about where that big Oregon win is. Because they're saying it's Utah. I mean, that's what they're putting this up there on. Because Oregon's beaten Portland State, Texas Tech, Hawaii, Colorado, that we now know is hot garbage.
Right. That win over Colorado was not as impressive.
Stanford, that's a nothing win. Washington State, it's a nice win, but it's not a great win. And Utah, that's a team that I think is a little bit overrated. And I think they've got Oregon in a spot right now where they can change this. But that was really my takeaway, is that at what point do they try to get Texas and Alabama ahead of Oregon? Now, there's no way they can do it with Texas, but Alabama, in the SEC, they'll try to figure out a way with that schedule. And obviously they're going to get Georgia at the end should they win out, that they can leapfrog Oregon. But they've got Oregon put in a spot right now that I find interesting to watch the rest of the way, because we thought a lot of the Pac-12 and they're cannibalizing themselves to a large degree. Does that give a positive reinforcement to the conference, or will it look upon them negatively because they are eating their own?
Right, and that's the frustrating thing about this whole process is they don't justify anything. They don't tell us what their algorithm is. They don't tell us what exactly they look at, because you've got all these analysts breaking it down. They're like, well, in Florida State's case, it's all about resume and eye test. In Ohio State's case, it's all about just win, baby. And it's so confusing. But I'll tell you what, one thing that college football is not worried about is having a Cincinnati from a couple years ago or a TCU last year. They're going to have 4 marquee programs here in the final year of this 4-team setup.
How many of them are going to be undefeated?
I think Georgia will be, and I think Ohio State will be.
Oh, so that's just your loathing of Michigan, that you think Ohio State will beat Michigan.
I believe in the football gods. I believe that Michigan's got another thing coming to an extent. Do we have David?
Well, we may. He says he can hear us a little bit, or thinks he can, but we can't hear him.
David is turned up. His mic is on, and we still got nothing. We'll keep working on it.
I don't know what to tell you. These are the sports gods. These are the radio gods that sometimes, play tricks on us, because nothing on the equipment was changed from one day to the next, and nothing works. So that's the spot we are in here this morning, as you get me disheveled because we're working on 3 things at once, and sometimes things get a little confusing inside the studio.
To continue the conversation from earlier, as we continue to troubleshoot what's going on, will Florida State be undefeated?
I think they will.
And how impressive is the ACC?
It's not.
Right.
But a donut's a donut.
That's correct.
So if Florida State's undefeated, a Big Ten team's undefeated, that's 2. If we get 3, it's Georgia. But
Georgia might not. And
Georgia might not win Saturday.
And they're the one team that I think. So if Georgia has 1 loss, you think they get in at 4? If they win the SEC championship?
If they beat Alabama, they will get in ahead of Oregon.
Okay.
They will get in ahead of Texas. Where it becomes confusing, and this is something David brought up earlier in the week, is that if Alabama beats Georgia and Texas runs the table, does the SEC get shut out? And that becomes the ultimate question, because if Alabama beats Georgia and Texas is sitting there with 1 loss, well, come on. Texas beat Alabama.
A college football playoff without the SEC. Could you imagine back in 2014-15 when they're drafting this stuff up? That was never even on the board. A college football playoff without Alabama wasn't even on the board 5 years ago.
Wait a minute. I don't know what happened, but you're there. He appeared. Ladies and gentlemen, from the radio gods, he has been delivered.
Can you give us a
How the heck are you?
God, I wish I could do that.
Well, they've had a playoff without the Big Ten, and nobody freaked out. I understand the Big Ten's not the SEC, but listen, it sounds crazy, but what's crazier? 3 undefeateds and Texas and Alabama, both 12-1 conference champions. And I mean, you tell me, who are you taking out to put Alabama in? That's all. I mean, can you really take Texas out? Even if you make the argument, no, they're much improved. If they played now, I think Alabama would win. The games have to count, right?
I'll tell you the one thing that'll happen, David, since ESPN has embraced gambling, like our nation's embraced gambling, like many of you yesterday embraced gambling on the Hard Rock Bet app. They'll start giving you what the odds would be in the Alabama versus Texas game.
Don't care.
I know you don't care, but I'm telling you how they'll start drawing this up.
By the way, does anybody remember Conference Championship Saturday last year, and Nick Saban did a video at halftime of the Big Ten Championship game on Fox, and he looked like he was a hostage in a bunker. It was poorly lit. All right. And it looked really bad. In his, hey, you should consider us to be the 4th team argument, he said, we would be favored against all the other teams. Vegas has said we would be favored. I mean, Nick actually used it in his argument last year to try to get his team in the playoff. Well, but see, to me, then, why don't we just do this based off recruiting rankings? Why don't we do this based off of preseason polls? Well, they've got more 4 and 5 stars. Therefore, they have more talent. Therefore, they should be in. Well, they were ranked higher in the preseason polls. We've thought they were better all year long. So the tie goes to them. I mean, how the hell does Texas beating Alabama and Tuscaloosa by 2 scores not matter?
It will matter, and that's what we're talking about. It totally will matter, but the train that is the 4-letter network will start lobbying for Alabama. I don't think it'll work, but it'll happen.
But over which team? I mean, because of the undefeateds, it would have to be Florida State, right?
Yes.
It's not going to be the Big Ten team. It's not going to be Washington. I mean, come on, Washington beating Oregon twice, all the ranked teams in the Pac-12 this year. How many other teams in the ACC besides Florida State are ranked? Louisville?
Boy, if they dragged them in there, David.
Did they drag Louisville in with just 1 loss?
Yeah, Louisville's 11.
Oh, 11. Okay. And when Florida State beats them in the ACC title game, they'll be ranked, but they'll be fairly far down. I mean, that's the undefeated they'll come after. And what are they? They didn't play anybody? Played LSU. They played Clemson at Clemson. Okay. It's the worst Clemson team in 10 years. It's still a pretty good team. I mean, seriously, if they're coming after everybody, if you say they can't come after Texas, which I think they can, all right, because, well, that was week 2 and, they're better now. But they're going to have to come after Florida State.
And I believe you're right because of how I started this with where they have Oregon placed. They have Oregon locked in at the 6th spot. In order to make some monumental changes, you'd have to have Oregon slip down below Texas and Alabama.
Remember, here's the other thing. Washington's not a Pac-12 school. In that room, Washington's a Big Ten school. You're screwing the Big Ten if you keep Washington out. That's what you're doing. Don't kid yourself.
So those are some takeaways from yesterday's College Football Playoff Committee's weekly luncheon, in which they come out with an evening happy hour edition to let us chew on for a couple of hours. We've got a great show lined up for you today. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, will join us. Seth Everett on the show today, and Bud Elliott to not talk about the college football playoff rankings.
Right.
He will talk about games because he doesn't care.
And we're talking about Michigan and Ohio State and Rutgers and Purdue. And since you guys are cheating, we're going to try to take you down as lawfully as we can.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. So did you do anything more than turn it off and turn it back on again?
I don't think so.
I was sweating over here, frantically running through my cute little note sheet, my little checklist. I was like, I don't know what's wrong. That was electric when we got you back, though, David. The Twitch chat room was going wild.
No.
They said, let's go. Some guy did, at least.
I don't know about electric, but it was excited, David.
It was something. So, David, you're back at the condo?
In the cozy confines, yes.
Good thing you didn't bet the NHL last night.
Oh, my God, I had a rough night. By the third period, though, the Canadians and Wings showed up. Golly. And the Flyers lost to the Sharks. Yep.
Leave it to Philly.
By the way, they sent the TNT A team to Colorado for Devils Avs. I'm impressed with that.
Not to me, behind. It doesn't make a damn. It doesn't mean anything to me.
God, the people who are going after him for that's unbelievable. I was listening. We were walking down the corridor of the booth and all the suites Monday night, and there was an ESPN New York guy who was just killing him. I can't draft him. He's not a leader of men. No, I think behind they're much more worried about whether or not he can just stay in a pocket and execute an offense, because he's seemingly running around all the time. Yeah, he really screwed up. He won a Heisman.
And would be the leader for another one if they had a defense.
Just a below average defense. Ambient, but like last week, do you know Florida State played that game without their top 4 wide receivers last week? I mean, gotta take some things into consideration. Plus, it was a week before the Miami game. I mean, Georgia was trailing at the half against South Carolina. They were tied in the fourth quarter with Auburn. Adam, Billy needs a win. I don't know if he'll survive. Well, when you haven't lost a regular season game in 3 years, Paul.
They've been waiting so long to act like that, you have no idea.
The last time they lost a regular season game was the Gators
coming back
in the cocktail party 3 years ago.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Let's get over the hump together, shall we? Hope your week's been pretty good thus far. Let's make it better here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. So the playoff committee did their weekly television show. You know, some episodes are better than others. Let's get into this topic, though. First off, let's assume that what Michigan alleged to the Big Ten and also forwarded to the NCAA is true, since most of us are assuming what's being alleged about Michigan is true. That's only fair, right? Let's take Michigan at their word. Especially since Ohio State, Rutgers, and Purdue, nobody said a word to deny what Michigan claimed yesterday, which is by late in the season last year, those three schools were conspiring against us, specifically in the Big Ten championship game. That Ohio State had Michigan's, I think, offensive signals, and Rutgers had Michigan's defensive signals. And they both gave all that information to Purdue to give them the best chance possible in the Big Ten title game. And Purdue hung around till late third, early fourth as like a 16-point dog. Couldn't get touchdowns when they got in the red zone. Kicked a lot of field goals. That was the difference in that game. Oh, yeah, the fact Michigan was better. First off, do you think that that's breaking a rule? You and I are buddies. In fact, remember, Schiano was defensive coordinator at Ohio State with Ryan Day on the same staff. So you and I are buddies. You're at Ohio State. I'm at Rutgers. Okay? And you and I call our other mutual buddy because, let's be brutally honest here. Everybody in the conference knew Michigan was cheating. Allegedly, they were complaining to the Big Ten at least last year about it. And we saw what the Big Ten did. So they decided, well, if the Big Ten's not going to do anything, we're going to give Purdue, we're going to give our buddies, Mark, the best chance possible. Since we know Michigan's got our buddy signals, we might as well give our buddy the best shot possible. We'll give them all we got on them. Is that against the rules?
As far as I know, it's not against the rules, but David, with this for the NCAA, it is not against the rules.
Correct.
Now the question becomes, is this bad sportsmanship?
Ah, that word again.
Because the NCAA is not going to do diddly squat this year, okay?
No.
They're just not. That's not how they operate. Everybody, I think, is pretty well aware of that. I mean, if you're a fourth grader that's planning on attending the University of Michigan, you damn well could be on probation your first 2 years.
You hope that the NCAA is going to pick up the pace a little bit, and so that Michigan gets, serves their penalties while you're a junior and senior in high school.
Right. But the Big Ten is where, if there is a suspension that is going to come down, it is going to come down from Tony Petitti and the Big Ten office. And it is going to be under the sportsmanship clause of the Big Ten agreement with its member schools? Well, is giving all the signals to Purdue bad sportsmanship, David?
Well, here's a phrase under the sportsmanship clause: integrity of the competition. I mean, once again, this two wrongs make a right. Let's be honest. What Michigan did, though, was clearly against the rules. We have no proof, and Michigan's not alleging either, because goodness knows if they thought it, they'd allege it. I mean, they would say, yeah, actually, we're all doing it. They're not saying that. They're saying that Ohio State and Rutgers, head coaches friendly, work together, all right? They called up Purdue and said, we'll give you all our stuff. Good luck. Michigan illegally went to games, recorded. I mean, that's clearly against the rules. Mark's correct. There was nothing from a rules standpoint that said what Schiano and Ryan Day allegedly did is, quote, against the rules. But does it violate the Big Ten sportsmanship policy, quote, integrity of the competition, unquote? And of course, you and I, Mark, when we're called into Tony Petitti's office, are going to go, yeah, you weren't here, but we were all screaming for at least a year. They were cheating. And now you even know we were right. So are we supposed to let Purdue get beat by 30? Or are we supposed to give our friend a chance, given what we got on them? And by the way, show me in the rule book where it says what we did is wrong. It may feel wrong, but
It happens all the time. That part of what the second end of this, the coaches talking to one another about signals, that happens all the time.
So how far are we digging here? Also, and I hope, and all the Michigan fans out there, let's just say you think, for whatever reason, bias or not, that what Schiano and Ryan Day are alleged to have done is wrong. It doesn't equate to your wrongdoing, though, right? I mean, you at least have to acknowledge that. I mean, you clearly broke the rules, videotaping the whole deal. I mean, they picked up the phone. You know, they may have sent, come on now. They did it the old-fashioned way. They stole your signals the way you're supposed to steal the signals.
They earned it. Oh, sorry.
Right.
I get the sense, David, and I don't know, you're traveling, you're in and around college football people on Saturday, but I'm getting the sense just among the public that they don't care.
Well, Mark, let's be honest. As a society, and I am going to generalize here, and don't anybody take I'm not taking a side in this at all. But Mark, we've been getting screwed for a long time in this country by all powerful sides. And so as a society, we're shrugging off when the powerful on both sides commit wrongdoing, because we're like, yeah, no kidding. And guess who's getting us? I mean, I'm telling you, that's just,
David, I know, but this is sports.
No. But it then comes down to sports. There is no right. We don't care anymore. We don't care, Mark. We don't care about right or wrong as a society. And it's filtered down to sports. We don't care.
Well, if that's your rationale, I don't know if I buy all of that, but I do buy the fact that the college football fan, and I'm surprised by how little people seem to care about this. That when we bring it up, people make comments, but I thought there would be venom. I thought people would be demanding suspensions, and I'm not getting that on the text line. We're not getting that in the Twitch chat room. We're just getting people's theories, if you will. And I thought people would be angrier about this than they are, and they're not.
Is it also because college sports has become, in a lot of people's estimation, a bit of a cesspool? You're now able to legally pay the players. I mean, so are they just like, listen, it's the wild, wild west anyway as a sport. What the hell? So Michigan took it to the extreme. I also think, Mark, that there's a lot of people that we don't like to penalize the current group of guys. I think there are some people who, unless they have venom towards Michigan, are kind of like, listen, that's a good team. I can tell a good team. Are we really going to keep them out? They've lost one regular season game in 3 years.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to make sure you're shopping with the best. And the best when it comes to GIA certified diamonds and diamond jewelry is not online. It's not in the malls. And it's not with any of the new pop-up jewelry stores trying to make a go of it here in Southwest Florida. The best place to buy diamonds is with my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District, who have made Southwest Florida their home for over 20 years now. The largest selection of GIA certified diamonds is with the Diamond District. The only place you'll find diamonds 8 to 10% over cost is with the Diamond District. America's top bridal designers have chosen the Diamond District to represent their engagement rings exclusively in Southwest Florida. Simply put, the best selection, experience, and best prices are with Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps. Have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Oh, DC, they're the Astros. There's no doubt, but I don't think people care. Or they want to root against them.
Mark, you want to ask the poll question? Okay, to rate how seriously you take this. It's a big deal. Okay.
What should be the punishment? Nothing? The 2-game suspension?
Or kick him out of the playoff.
Right.
That's what I think is fair. Unbiased. I just feel like that, like you're cheating. You got caught cheating.
You think they should be kicked out of the playoff?
At least the Big Ten championship.
I think
how can you, like, what's the point? If they end up carrying this out and they end up vacating it anyways, then why even let them, you know what I mean? I get the due process thing, but jeez. Like everyone keeps saying, they fired Connor Stallions.
He resigned.
He resigned. Excuse me, fake news. I don't get it. Like they've all but admitted to it.
If I was Tony Petitti, I would suspend Michigan from the Big Ten championship game. I would say they're ineligible.
And I agree, David. I don't think that's outrageous, but
I wouldn't take wins away from them, but I would just say, you're ineligible for the Big Ten championship game. If the College Football Playoff Committee still wants to put you in the playoff, that's above my pay grade. But this Big Ten matter.
You want to put suspend from playoff, suspend from Big Ten championship game, nothing?
Yeah.
If there's 4 options, you could add suspend Harbaugh.
Yeah. We're just asking about Michigan.
That's
just ask the team. Nobody cares. I mean, they don't. People don't care if Harbaugh gets suspended 2 games and fined $10,000. Wes, that's why they call it gambling. I hear you. I had a rough hockey night last night. My 2 plays went 0-2. DC, lose a scholarship. Well, the playoff committee could just say they're 12-0 and they beat it. If they beat Penn State and Ohio State, especially if they beat them solidly, they could just say they're one of the 4 best teams. That's all the playoff committee's saying, by the way. We're just picking the, quote, 4 best teams, unquote. And the committee could say, do you think Washington's better than Michigan? Do you think Florida State's better than Michigan? We don't. Well, NG Lindy, we'll see. I think we'll find out here whether or not they want to fix it or at least punish it. We'll find out if they want to punish it.
I just wish we could get an update on it.
Be today or tomorrow.
Hope so. All right, 5 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, will join us 1 hour from now. Seth Everett, Bud Elliott make up our great 8 hour on this hump day. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. There was more football last night as the 50-day run of at least one game every night continues. Time now for... That's been, well, listen, it couldn't get me on the air at the start of the show either. So,
It says it's playing. It's not playing. The starting 5. 5 stories that you need to know to start your day. Here's David Moulton.
Wow, that was a combination of angst and I'll do the rejoiner myself.
Right. And well, it's when he can look at the computer and see the thing playing.
Right. Well, it was kind of like me.
Right.
There. I could see you guys. I could hear you. Then I couldn't hear you.
What a show we're having today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's once again,
just getting started.
Miller and Moulton. It's a thing. Anyway, so the College Football Playoff Committee didn't change a thing. Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State would make up the playoff today. But we all know in 2.5 weeks, Ohio State and Michigan are going to play each other. Washington, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, the 4 teams right after that. So that's the line of demarcation. Washington's the undefeated that's left out. Oregon's the top one-loss team. Texas ahead of Alabama because they beat them. Now, if Texas beats Oklahoma or Oklahoma State or whoever the heck they're going to play in the Big 12 title game, does that keep them ahead of Alabama if they beat Georgia? It's college football. We got 3 more regular season weekends. A lot can happen. Michigan has sent documents to the Big Ten showing that 3 teams engaged in communication about Michigan signals late last season. They allege those 3 teams are Ohio State, Rutgers, and Purdue. Ohio State apparently sent them what they had on Michigan on one side of the ball. Rutgers sent them what they had on the other side of the ball. And Purdue said, okay, we'll take this information and we'll use it as best we can as 16-point underdogs in the Big Ten title game. Is that against the rules? Buddy's saying, hey, you're taking out Michigan. We hate Michigan. What do you need? Doesn't seem like it's against the rules, by the way. And besides, Ohio State and Rutgers off the record are going to say to the Big Ten, you do know why we did it, right? Because we knew Michigan had cheated to get all the Purdue signals, just like they cheated to get ours. So we're trying to make the playing field close to even and give Purdue a fighting chance. Because you, not you, Tony Petitti, you weren't here, but you, as in the Big Ten, didn't do a damn thing when we were screaming about it all last year. So we took matters into our own hands. Now, give me my 1-game suspension and $5,000 fine, since you're going to give Jim Harbaugh a 2-game suspension and a $10,000 fine. And I'll make sure I don't coach against UNLV next year either. No one knows whether or not this does officially break an NCAA rule, or it would seem, though, Mark, that this does violate the Big Ten's sportsmanship policy, right?
Well, that's what's important to the Big Ten. They want everybody to have good sportsmanship, David.
Well, sportsmanship is a loosely defined word, but part of the definition, according to the Big Ten, is integrity of the competition, unquote. Did Ohio State, Rutgers, and Purdue violate the integrity of the competition? Or is this just gamesmanship? And it happens all the damn time. And it's happened for a long time. Because it has in all sports. Friends call each other up and say, you need any help in the championship game? Florida State wide receiver Johnny Wilson returned to practice yesterday. That's good news. He's missed the last 2 games, and he's arguably their best receiver. So, they got Miami this Saturday. It's kind of a rivalry thing. There was MACtion last night. And
yes, there was.
Believe it or not, all 3 games were tied in the fourth quarter. I mean, as MACtion goes, and these are not good teams, but it was decent. Ball State kicked the field goal at the gun to beat Northern Illinois 20-17. Western Michigan had a lead, blew it. Mark's Broncos with 17 in the fourth to beat the Chips 38-28. And then Ohio broke a tie in the fourth quarter, scored the last 10 points to beat Buffalo 20-10. The Bobcats are 7-3. We got 3 more MAC games tonight. Huh? NFL news. Carson Wentz is finally employed.
Yes, he is. Congratulations.
Wow, he's like quarterback 83 apparently on the depth chart with all the injuries we've had. But the Rams signed him. So there. That leads you to believe this Stafford injury is going to maybe be a while, right?
Yeah.
Tennessee officially ends the Ryan Tannehill era. They bench him because he's healthy enough to play now, and they name Will Levis the starter going forward. Once again, boy, it'd be nice if the trade deadline was next week, huh?
It would be. It would be fantastic, but it's never going to happen. I really don't think it'll ever happen.
I do. Because I even think last weekend's games and all the injuries right now that the NFL, people in the office could go, it would really help. I mean, look at the Giants. They lost their quarterback. Their season's over. I know the NFL's worried about tanking, but Mark, in some cases, team seasons have ended because, well, they're just not good.
I understand, but that tanking thing seems to be a really big deal with the league. They don't want teams mailing in the last 6, 7, 8 weeks of the season and unloading and having fire sales. So I don't think there's more momentum on this show than in the combined NFL world for it.
Okay, probably right. And the Cowboys with a fascinating signing yesterday. Did you see it? They signed Martavis Bryant, a wide receiver. If the name sounds familiar, well, he played in the league 5 years ago. He's 32 next month. But he's been kicking around CFL, played in the XFL this summer. He worked out for them. They liked what they saw. I mean, he's had substance abuse problems for years. They signed him to the practice squad. 32 next month. Huh. Interesting. The A's won in a Nevada courtroom yesterday. The Nevada Teachers Union is trying to block funding for the stadium and basically saying, you should be taking care of us before you give a pro sports team hundreds of millions of dollars. And a judge said, you went about it the wrong way. Good luck. And he threw it out. The Yankees, they went to the nearest microphones yesterday, Mark. Brian Cashman has had enough. He's had enough of getting just crushed in the New York and national media about, he just doesn't know what he's doing anymore. He threw some expletives around even, addressed the media for an hour, vigorous defense of the organization, even though Hal Steinbrenner, the owner, who promised big change, they're hiring a new hitting coach. And Hal also said that he contacted current and former players in making up his mind as to whether or not to keep Aaron Boone. And when asked who the former players were, one was Andy Pettit, but the other was Nick Swisher. Oh, okay.
Mr. Steinbrenner, I didn't know you had my number.
Right. Hey, how you been? What's going on? But the other thing that's become very apparent, Aaron Judge is like the assistant general manager of the Yankees now. He's like in on every major decision. And he wanted to keep Boone. So we got another year Aaron Boone. A's picked up the option on their manager, Mark Kotze. He's got a contract for 2 more years. I could see why. I mean, they followed up a 102-loss season with a 112-loss season. NHL last night.
That's exactly why they kept him. He's got 2 more years. How many? You can't get rid of him now.
Well, no, somebody's got to take these losses. I mean,
right.
We got the worst product in the league. I mean, somebody's got to take this beating. So, listen, you heard it here yesterday, okay? The Lightning, after blowing a 4-1 lead in Toronto, they're going to show up in Montreal with their head between their legs. And besides, they're playing their backup goalie. And they're already playing their backup goalie because Vasilevsky's hurt. Well, they're playing the backup to the backup. Yeah, they scored 4 goals in the first period and had a 5-0 lead going to the third and beat Montreal 5-3. And you heard it here, the Rangers, 3 starters out. They're the best goalie in the world, arguably, out. Okay, and Detroit's young and fast, faster than the Rangers. Rangers are in trouble. I'd take Detroit in the money line. And the Rangers scored 4 in the second and had a 5-0 lead going to the third. And they held on to win 5-3. Colorado doubled up Jersey. Pittsburgh beat Anaheim. Bad news for the Penguins, though. Their starting goalie, Jari, got hurt. Couldn't finish the game. Penguins have had goaltender injury problems for 3 years now. It's unbelievable.
Ever since they got rid of the wrong guy and let
exactly
Murray go to Vegas there, it's not been good for them.
Crosby scored an empty netter. And our long national nightmare is over. The San Jose Sharks won a game. After an 10-1 start, they beat the Flyers 2-1. Oh, Torts is just going to those poor guys for the next week. Tortorella's going to grind them into the ice. College hoops, FGCU had an 8-point lead mid-second half in Indiana. Hoosiers called timeout, went on a 16-0 run, had a 10-point lead with 2 minutes to go. FGCU cut it to 2. Down 3, had the ball, chance to tie late. Hoosiers beat the Eagles 69-63. FAMU, men and women, both played nationally ranked teams. The men lost to Creighton by 51. The women lost to Tennessee by 29. And Mark, the Florida Sports Hall of Fame tonight will induct 8 new members. Among the 8, football players Leroy Butler, Greg Coleman, head coach Tom Coughlin, some basketball player named Vince Carter, and a gymnast named Shannon Miller, who's the second most decorated gymnast, male or female, of all time, next to that, Simone Biles lady. Right. There's some talent in this here state.
Yes, there is. There is a lot of it, and it doesn't matter the sport. We're now getting players drafted into the National Hockey League, for crying out loud, that are born in Florida.
Exactly. And at 9 minutes before the hour, that was
the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Yeah.
If, David suggests to join us on Twitch. If you do, great. If you don't, that's fine too. And you take us in on one of the apps or on the radio. But there are moments like that one right there in which David and I both wonder, and Trent, but he was not on camera, all with the same looks on our face. Is it going to work this time? And the excitement that we get when simple machines work.
Hands in the air. Celebration.
Woohoo!
Let's stay hot. Let's stay hot going into the second hour. How about that?
Jimmy in the Twitch chat room is accusing me of reaching very far to keep a low story above a big story. And based on the time of his comment, I think it's when I was talking about the whole, Michigan, Ohio State, Rutgers, Purdue, and, who's got whose signals and how they got them and what's right, what's wrong. I don't know. Seems to be a story. I think we should do a poll question about the story personally.
Hell, David, we already have one up. I had to do something during the starting five, so I typed up a poll question. And
What is it?
It's about Michigan.
Huh.
It's very simple. What should the punishment for Michigan sign stealing be? Nothing? Suspend for the Big Ten championship game, or suspend from the playoff? Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or FL Sports Network on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com as well to vote.
Oh, I'm suspending them for the Big Ten title game. If the committee wants to put them in the playoff, fine. But if you're Tony Petitti, this is your moment. Either you're against cheating or you're not. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. Florida Sports Network.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. When you ended that, when you got to stand for something, all I could think of, David, was this.
The most important decision you can make right now is what do you stand for, Danny? Goodness or badness? I know I've made some mistakes in the past. I'm willing to make up for that.
I just want to replace Danny with Jimmy and play that as Tony Bettini and Jim Harbaugh talking.
Huh, Jimmy? Huh?
Huh? Oh, let's have a fresca. Do you stand for goodness
or badness?
Or badness.
Mark Miller sweating out the end of the FGCU Indiana game when Indiana pushed it to 10. And the line was, 12.5? Although I think at tip it was 11.5.
It was 11.5.
Sweating it out.
Oh, man, they put that press on and went bang, bang, knocked the 2 threes down. Then they got it again and missed it. I'm like, damn.
DC, what I think matters is do they have proof that they cheated this year? That is what I think is important. Because if you're going to suspend them for the Big Ten title game this year, I believe you have to conclude that they cheated this year. Not that they cheated in the past and they used the data this year. I think they have to have evidence that he was in the stands, on the sidelines, what have you, this year. And if they have that, then I think they can punish Michigan for this year. Swamp Buggy, I'm totally with you, but the offensive coaches in college football want to do this up-tempo crap, and so that's why they don't want the thing in the helmets, because then only the quarterback gets the signals. They don't want to waste the time having players go in and out with the plays. They want tempo. It's funny, I have to check to make sure DC was giving me a thumbs up and not a middle finger.
I reloaded our key map, so it should work fine. I'm gonna ask Chris about it too, because for some reason it's spotty for me, and I don't think it ever was for
No,
Felipe. So
not like that. That's weird when it's hitting and not firing.
Yeah, I'll ask him about it. We'll figure it out.
We must be okay on the app because I haven't gotten any texts or anything. So
3 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Hope your week's going well. Thanks for spending part of it with us once again here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A little bit of a lull in the middle of the week, especially this time of year. NBA even took last night off, but they're back with a vengeance tonight. I mean, is everybody playing tonight? Everybody but two? I mean, they're full slate
last
again
night was
tonight.
election night, so they take that off in the NBA.
Right. Yeah, I guess in some places, around the country, they voted.
They did.
Yeah.
And the NBA takes off that day.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I mean, should they do it on off years? I mean, if you want to do it every 4 years, even every 2, but I mean, the
whole using the buildings as voting centers and that.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
So it's kind of an every year thing, David.
All right. Whatever. I guess. So our poll question is whether or not what we're talking about, is this a thing? And if so, how big of a thing? Or is this not a thing at all and you guys are just barking up the wrong tree? It's the whole Michigan sign stealing, are they cheating or not thing. And so what kind of punishment do you think the Big Ten should hand down or college football should hand down? And now, not in 2028. No, now. Nothing. I see nothing.
Personally, I'd put Michigan State on probation for this.
Right. Well, should the Big Ten step in and just say, listen, we've got evidence that you were cheating this year and we can't have you play in the Big Ten title game. That's not right. Can't do it. And should the playoff committee come out in the next few weeks and go, hey, listen, I know you're still winning. We can't put you in.
But they're obviously not going to do that. They've said they're not going to do that.
Well,
they've come flat out and said, our job is to put the 4 best teams in the playoff. If you're eligible, we put you in. We don't make any determinations on eligibility. I mean, they have said that. So the committee is going to do nothing.
Correct. That's why I think it's possible the Big Ten could keep them out of the Big Ten title game and the committee could still put them in the playoff. They could just say, don't know what to say. I mean, I really do think that's possible. I know by how you're looking at me, Mark, you think that's crazy. I think Tony Petitti could come out tomorrow or sometime in the next 2 weeks and just say, yeah, I've reviewed the evidence and, Michigan doesn't even deny it. I mean, I can't let them play in the Big Ten title game. They cheated. They did. And I do think it's important that he concludes they cheated this year. I would hate to kick Michigan out of the Big Ten title game this year for something that you say, well, I have proof they did this last year. That would even bother me.
You may have found the punishment that we don't even have on our list. Take away last year's Big Ten title.
That's true. It's true. Just, hey, come on. You've taken banners down before. Take another one down. I'm not even asking you to return the money. And let's face it, that's what you really care about.
Could really piss him off, make him vacate the 2 wins against Ohio State only.
Wow. How about this? You split the deal. You take 1 away. Okay. You create angst, but not outrage.
Yeah,
And
but
then
if you get that 21 win way at home with the people coming onto the, the rush in the field and that great scene that was in Ann Arbor that day.
Yep. We'll take that one away. That one didn't count. Sorry. It's like when Georgia and Florida play and the announcers have to go, well, Georgia claims the series record is 56-44-1. Florida claims it's 55-44-1. The 1904 game is in dispute. Okay. So now we'll have to say that, or Fox will have to say it because they've got Ohio State, Michigan from now till the end of time. They ain't giving that sucker up. They'll give up the Big Ten title game. Yeah, we'll let CBS and NBC have a couple of those, but we ain't giving up that Ohio State, Michigan game. No way.
And it's going to be at noon.
Yep.
When it's supposed to be.
Yep.
Couldn't believe it yesterday. I was at my daughter's soccer practice, and there's one dad that I talked to, and he's a Notre Dame fan, but he's a college football fan. And he just says, that big noon thing, I like the late games. I'm like, what's the matter with you? You don't like the big noon kickoff? That's how we get this party started. That's the table setter for the whole day.
Martin in our Twitch chat room says it's not a thing, especially when you consider that college football is really just a glorified version of minor league football.
Text line. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. No punishment. And another one says, not a Michigan fan, but you can steal all the signs you want. You still have to stop the play on the field. No punishment is warranted.
So that's what we're asking you. What, if anything, should be done at Michigan? Nothing? Make them ineligible for the Big Ten title game? Or go, come on, man. Their season's effectively over. They can play these final 3 regular season games, but they ain't playing anything else beyond that.
And we are letting everybody know this is our poll question. The final scenario there is, to me at least, David, and I don't know about you, the final scenario of kicking them out of the playoff is one that, to me, is an impossibility because the NCAA has never acted this quickly on anything in their existence, and they're the only ones that could keep them out by officially kicking them out.
But also, the poll question is not asking a prediction as to what we think will happen. The poll question is trying to gauge your level of outrage or angst or indifference. That's what we're trying to gauge here. Is there indifference? Is there angst? Is there outrage?
And there doesn't seem to be outrage, David.
Mark, we don't have outrage about anything in this country unless it's staggeringly trivial. Then we have outrage. So the one thing I do know is this is not trivial. This is at least somewhat important because that's when we don't care. It's when it's trivial that we get really bent out of shape. Like the size of the soft drinks are too big. They got to be smaller. No more of this 44-ounce stuff. Got to knock it down to 32. It's too much sugar. You got that?
I want someone just left New York City.
I want congressional hearings and everything. Now, see, that's what you get outrage about in this country. Yeah. The important stuff, whatever. Just leave me alone. Okay. I'm having a hard enough time. My wife doesn't love me anymore, blah, 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 blah. I'm not talking about me. I'm just, filling a role here. I mean, I think she still loves me. I don't know. She seemed moderately happy to see me this morning.
And she said hello to you when you walked in last night, I'm sure. So
no, she was sound asleep. Sound asleep. I let her sleep. She fell asleep in the living room. I just let her sleep with the TV on. I did everything last night. I came home, set everything up. I did laundry while she was sleeping. Oh, yeah. No. She woke up this morning. She was like, hey, what time did you get home? I'm like, sometime in the last 10 hours.
No outrage, though.
No, there's no outrage. No.
And I guess I fall into that because I wouldn't do anything to Michigan. I'm in the nothing category. And you know how I feel about them. To me, it's not even the Big Ten. To me, it's an all or nothing. You either suspend them from college football playoff or you do nothing.
Well, I would simply ask the people like John in our Twitch chat room, if you don't want your sign stolen, put the radio in the helmet. Well, first off, you can't do that. Okay. You're not allowed to it's against the rules to put the radio in the helmet. So that's number one. Or change them weekly. Huh? Okay. You haven't played football, have you? I mean, that's problematic. But I get you could do it, but man, it's oof. He says
TCU
it's like
apparently did, by the way. I mean, TCU apparently changed all their signals for the college football semifinal.
Right. They had 3 weeks. John says it's like getting mad at your dog for taking your steak off the table, even though he knows he shouldn't, he will. Okay. I mean, I would ask John and anybody else, do you think Michigan cheated? The rules clearly says you cannot go to the games. You cannot videotape the other team's signals. They went to the games. They videotaped the signals.
I will say the one that has me the most perplexed is they've got to get to the bottom line of the Central Michigan thing.
Totally.
Because that one right there, David, that's this year. That's clear cut.
By the way, you joked that they're going to come down hard on Michigan State instead of punishing Michigan. How about they punish Central Michigan?
Ooh, now you're talking.
All right. That Michigan escapes for another 4 years any kind of sanctions. Then they're going to get what Kansas basketball just got after a 6-year battle with the NCAA. They basically apologized to Bill Self for the inconvenience.
And then Bill Self became the highest paid coach in college basketball history.
Right. With a lifetime contract.
Right.
Right. After a 6-year battle.
That shows you what cheating will get you.
Totally.
As much money as is humanly possible for life.
Right. Michigan has said that Harbaugh, we're giving him an extension. Okay. We're just timing right now. It just looks bad. But no, we got it done. It's right here on the side. It's in the drawer. You want to see it? But
the university president is firmly behind Jim Harbaugh.
Firmly. Sure. Yep. So's the AD.
Yeah, but the president was taking team photos. I mean, he's all in.
Well, wants to keep the gig. So I think, Mark, they could come down really hard on Jim McElwain in Central Michigan.
It's a dadgum good point, David.
Because that part of the investigation they could wrap up this year. You know, come to think of it, I don't think anything happens to Michigan. But Central Michigan might be like ineligible for a bowl or something.
And I think they're right at the cusp of being a 500 team to be bowl eligible. And if the Chippewas lose bowl eligibility, then I think we finally have some justice in the Michigan sign stealing case.
They do have 5 wins right now.
Yeah, one more. Makes them bowl eligible. Of course, I don't know how many 500 MAC teams were, pounding the table going, man, this guy's got to be in the Poinsettia Bowl. What do we do without Central Michigan?
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Do you really think there's a universe where they potentially punish Central Michigan and not Michigan?
No. But I do think they will punish. I think Central will get something.
I do too. I don't think McElwain will keep his job.
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't want to get into the whole conspiracy of it, but he's the connection to Michigan, and I'm sure there's plenty on that staff, but my only problem is if you do nothing about this, what's going to stop other teams from doing it?
Now that's a great point. That's a great point.
You have to do something, I think. Otherwise, it's just going to turn into the new norm.
Bijan Robinson can just go jump off a damn cliff.
Is he on your team?
Yes.
What makes you what triggered you to say that on a Wednesday?
Because I'm setting my lineup.
Gotcha.
And he sucks.
You're still alive in your survivor pool, right?
Yes.
Who are you going to take this week?
I don't know. This is really hard. I think Cincinnati at home against Houston.
It's a good one. Since he's rolling. Do you have the Panthers or the Bears?
I have both.
Do you have to use every team?
No, you just have to. You just can't use the same team twice.
Okay. So I was going to say,
I've used Dallas, and they play the Giants, so that would be the easy one.
Yeah.
I've used Buffalo. They play Denver. I've used Seattle. They play Washington. So I'm kind of, and I've used Baltimore.
Cincy's a good pick.
I think that's who I've got to pick.
Because Houston's a good team, but Cincy should win at home.
Right. And the funny thing is I may use Houston the following week at home against Arizona.
There you go.
Ooh, I've got Miami against the Raiders. It might be a Dolphins week.
Can't believe you haven't used the Dolphins already.
I don't think I have. It's possible that I have. That's where I've got to. I am not going to be seeing a lot of football this weekend, apparently.
Is your daughter getting picked up by the?
Yep, we got travel soccer tournament.
Is that all weekend?
I don't know. I'll find out everything Thursday. But there'll be probably 2 games Saturday and then maybe 1 Sunday, depending on how they do.
What position does your daughter play?
it's 9-year-old, so there's not a lot of positions, but she plays D. She likes playing defense. She's not a goal scorer. She does not like people getting. She's not like I'm one of those. Like she's good.
Yeah.
Like she's at this year now. She's the oldest one, so she's one of the better ones in the league. But she's not the best. I mean, I'm not that dad. I'll never. I despise youth sports parents.
Yeah, me too.
I love youth sports. Love the coaches. Just the parents drive me crazy.
It's the worst.
And I've had a great run with soccer with really good parents that we play with. That makes it so.
That's good.
You'll get there one day, and that's the whole thing.
That's all you can ask for.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's hope my play of the day works, let alone good audio. I think I fixed it. We'll see.
Yeah, Deadstruck, it is funny. Like when you hear people on the radio, you then in your mind go, I think he or she looks like this.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You know, it's a big college football month in this state. We got Knowles Canes Saturday, and then 2 weeks later, we got Knowles Gators. I mean, here you go. We're doing this. Yeah. With Miami and Florida like needing wins, you know,
they're at the desperation mode, if you know what I mean, David. Because the Canes had a nice win against A&M. They've had nothing since.
The home win against Clemson, does that count?
Yeah, it does. No, it does. It does.
But that performance in Raleigh last week, that's leaving a bad taste in everybody's mouth. Boy, the season would look so much different if they had just knelt. It really would. They'd still have a chance to get to the ACC title game if they'd just taken a knee. Anyway. And then, of course, you know, our buddy Billy. Whew. I'm telling you, my money is on he gone. That they're going to lose out and he gone. He needs a win.
He needs to steal a win.
Yes, he does. Never has Florida at Missouri a week from Saturday meant more.
You give him no shot against LSU?
Well, tell me is Daniels playing? And by the way, let's do a sidebar on that. Anthony Richardson went 4th overall. Jalen Daniels, Anthony Richardson. Daniels is 6'4", by the way.
Right.
Daniels is not Bryce Young. Daniels is a dude. I mean, he's got some size, and his frame could handle 10, 12 more pounds.
Thank you. He looks like someone to me that could get bulkier without losing a lot of what he already has.
I mean, we went through the teams yesterday that right now are drafting in the top 10 in the NFL. I mean, come on, the Patriots are drafting 5th. Jalen Daniels is on the board. I mean,
I don't know. Is there a D2 guard that'll be available? Well, I don't really trust the guy making the picks, David. I trust the coach, but I don't trust the guy making the picks.
Will he still be making the picks by then?
No, he will not. All right. Miller and Moulton, at least the Moulton part of the show, going all the way back to May, has said that Bill Belichick will not be in New England next year.
And you may be right, but at least at this moment in time, I don't trust the guy picking 5th to take that quarterback.
But, you know, that's somebody who's not being talked about as first pick of the draft worthy. Can you play the position better on Saturdays than he's been playing it this year? I mean, his numbers are ridiculous. plays in that conference, that is the be all and end all. But we're going to dismiss what he's doing? And until he got hit literally in the face with a helmet, not targeting, by the way. Just the crown of the helmet right in the jaw. Okay, knock you out of the game. That's not targeting. No.
Roughing the passer.
Right. And then Pyle drove him into the ground.
It's just roughing the passer.
That's just 15 yards in the SEC. That's it. I will say,
didn't affect the game at all.
No, knock Jalen Daniels out of the game. Please, LSU's fine. No problem. But that's somebody that, you got a franchise there. I mean, you're the Giants, you're the Patriots. Guy better not be getting by you. That's all I'm saying. But, all right.
By the way, a lot of people chiming in on the text line.
Okay.
Asking about the Michigan sign stealing.
Right.
Couldn't care less. I'm sure everyone does it. Most people don't care anymore. I guess this person doesn't care as well. And then every time you bring this up, David, we have a couple people that have chimed in that just do not believe that Napier's getting fired. And for the record, David wouldn't fire him.
No. If I'm Scott Strickland, I'm tripling down. I'm publicly saying you're going to have to fire me then. Okay? We have a plan. We're executing it. There's a few less wins so far in the plan than we thought we'd have. It doesn't mean we're not executing the plan. This is a journey. And we will get there. Trust us. Otherwise, get rid of us now. That's what I would say if I was Scott Strickland. Because my future's tied to him anyway. So I might as well double and triple down. I just believe if they lose out 5 in a row, 5-7, that the handful of really big money people show up at Scott Strickland's office and say, yeah, we got to get a new coach. And he's like, no, I don't want to. And they're like, yeah, this isn't up for discussion.
So, David, if they do win one of these final 3, you think he keeps his job?
Yeah, they'll go to a bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be 6-6. Yeah.
Which one are they most likely to win?
Missouri.
Could you make a case for Florida State for fun? Rivalry game, last game of the year, kill their season?
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be an awkward spot for the Noles. That place will be alive, and the swamp is special.
It'll be alive, but it won't be as alive if they've already lost to LSU and Missouri, if you know what I mean.
The problem, though, Trent, is Florida's tackles are not good, and Florida State can get after the passer, and Florida State has elite receivers. And so when you watch LSU and Missouri, who have two think of the quarterbacks Florida's facing. If Daniels is healthy, think of the quarterbacks Florida's defense is going to face the next 3 weeks. And they've been struggling down the stretch here.
Yeah, by no means do I think it's going to happen. How rich would that be?
Oh, it'd be epic. It's what rivalries are all about.
I mean, they're still talking about what Oklahoma State did. That's still the lead story in that state today.
We asked the question, I think it was right around when you started with us a couple of weeks ago. We asked the question, hey, Gator fan, you got one win, okay, to knock your rival out of the playoff, Florida State or Georgia? And it was 3-1 Florida State.
And maybe even a little more than 3-1.
Nice.
And that surprised both David and I that it was that one-sided. That because they hate Georgia, they loathe Florida State.
All right. Is the equipment going to work? Is Trent going to be able to play the play of the day?
Let's find out. Play of the day. There was a lot of action last night. I wanted to go to the NBA in honor of Felipe, but had to do action. And Ball State takes the Bronze Stalk. That's the name of the trophy over NIU.
Jackson Corville, the freshman from Centerville, Ohio, coming in to potentially keep the bronze stock here. A 36-yard attempt to win it. Ball State hangs on, finds a way to come back.
Kind of an underwhelming call for how electric it would be to keep the bronze stalk. But nonetheless, Jackson Corville knocks in the 36-yard field goal at the gun. And Ball State takes down NIU in another great Tuesday night Maction game. There you go.
How do you hang on but come from behind?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I was looking for radio calls for one, because those are obviously more, it's just better for this platform. Couldn't find anything. Then on top of that, I couldn't find anything somewhat electric, interesting in the TV calls.
They hang on and come from behind. Wait, what?
I like that he didn't call the field goal until after you could hear it go through and the officials say that it was good. Miller and Moulton. We'll switch gears to the NFL. Dalton Miller is next from Pro Football Network right here on the Florida Sports Network.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
If you gave Florida fans the option to win the next two and lose to Florida State, or lose the next two and beat Florida State,
Oh, no, they'd lose the next two
and take the win.
Yeah,
6 and 6.
And it wouldn't. It would be 99% to 1%.
So that's how deep the hatred runs for the Noles.
I remember when I was I think a sophomore, we played Florida State. Michigan State was like 7-3 at the half, lost 31-3, something like that. I mean, they just get pounded. Deion was playing.
Okay.
And there's two fans right behind where we were sitting. They were so obnoxious. And they kept going. And I just finally looked at them and I'm like, I remember, and I didn't say anything to him. I was a freshman, sophomore in college. And I just looked at him because our student seats were right by the end, behind the Florida State bench. And I remember the lady, you think we're bad? You go to Gainesville, they'll spit on you there.
Ooh. I believe it.
I'll never forget. We're nothing.
I have to admit, I've never experienced that.
You're in the booth, neutral.
No, but even before I got to the booth, I mean, it was intense, loud, but not. I didn't think that.
Well, also, this is you're talking 1988 when I'm hearing this, David.
Gotcha. Well, and they were a juggernaut then.
All right, we got to call this guest for the record.
All right, I'll get on that.
You don't need to do it yet. Just
okay. Thank you for the reminders. Got to have them sometimes. We have Dalton ready to go.
Perfect. Now, does St. John's play just a few of their games in the Garden, or do they go back and forth?
They play like 6, I think.
Hey, David, is Rutgers playing a game at the Garden this year?
Not a home game.
All right, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour. Seth Everett joins us at the top of the hour. Bud Elliott to talk all things college football 1 hour from now here on Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. He works for ProFootballNetwork.com, PFN 365. You can follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at Dalton B. Miller. He's Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
Fantastic, and I just would like to point out that Twix are the best chocolatey candy that is out there.
You know what, Dalton? I'm glad you said that because I had invaded my daughter's candy several times over the last week, and I've made the switch. I used to be a Reese's guy. I think you're on to something with the Twix.
That's fair. Yes, Reese's, fantastic choice as well. And definitely a top 3. But, I've always gravitated towards the Twix.
Okay, all right. We're going to go down a very ugly path here. You're the same gentleman who did cardio before going to the gym and working out, okay? And here you are talking about candy. Okay, your body fat's under 4%, isn't it?
No. See, I'm at the top right now. I'm at the end of the bulk. I'm going back down. I'm going to try to get to about 8 or 9%. Lose about 30 pounds. and then
Okay.
slowly work my way back up. It's all about gaining and losing and gaining and losing and trying to outdo what you did last time.
All right. Well, who's gaining the most right now in the NFL? To take your answer about your workout and twist it to the NFL, who right now has had the biggest gains in the last few weeks in the National Football League?
I mean, I think it's kind of got to be the Cincinnati Bengals just because of the way that they started. And I think that they're a legitimate contender in the AFC already. And I think that they're just going to continue to get better. I think Lou Anarumo is one of the best, single game defensive game planners in the NFL. Him, Steve Spagnuolo, these guys schematically can get beat here or there, but when they really need a game, they seem to always show up. I think outside of that, it's just Philadelphia continues to win football games. It doesn't really matter how they get it done. They just continue to do that thing in the NFC, and they are probably the best team in the NFL.
All right, let's talk Baltimore. And let's assume Lamar's going to stay healthy all year. Dalton, 2 years ago when Lamar got hurt, they were the 1 seed. Last year when Lamar got hurt, they were, I believe, atop the division, and they were no worse than the 3 seed. And now this year, they're tied with Kansas City for the top seed. I mean, let's assume Lamar stays healthy. What about the Ravens?
So before the season began, I had them facing Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, and I think they're a much better team than even I thought they would be. I think that there are still questions about, from just a game-to-game consistency perspective on the offensive side of the ball. Lamar Jackson, that offense, they try to tend to do a little bit too much. Lamar Jackson in the pocket fumbles. I believe he has 10 so far this year. So he does turn the ball. They're just always good for a wacky or really awful turnover or two a game. And they have Mike McDonald, who has been fantastic as a defensive coordinator. I think that they have the second best defense in the NFL behind Cleveland. I just need that offense to consistently show up for me to feel really confident about them in the back half of the season. But I do think if Lamar stays healthy, they're probably the second most dangerous team in the AFC.
What about the Jags? The Jags have the benefit of a little easier schedule than really anybody else in the AFC the rest of the way. And their defense has surprised me as being a really equal counterpart to their offense that's improving each week. What about the Jags, Dalton?
Yeah, I actually think that their defense is better than their offense right now, and that's not something that I think any of us would have foreseen heading into the season. I think that defensively, when I looked at their roster, I thought, it might be a little bit better than last year just because they brought back everybody. There was a ton of continuity, but they've been playing lights out, not just from, a playmaking turnover perspective, which they've done a very good job at, but consistently getting stops, having successful drives. That defense is way better than we thought. And I think that as long as this offense can start to figure it out, they're trying to figure out the offensive line situation. I think Trevor Lawrence is still looking good, but he's looking very not confident in that offensive line. There's a lot of one read, and then if there's a gap there, he's taking it and he's running. And I love that he's using his legs a little bit more this season. But I think that the offensive firepower, the explosiveness of that offense has been kind of watered down this season because of some of their offensive line woes. If they can figure that out in the back half of the season with this schedule, I think that they could fight for the 1 seed.
The Jags, if they can take care of business at home, Mark, they've got the Niners, the Bengals, and the Ravens all at home. Now, they've already lost to the Chiefs at home, so being at home, it's not a sure thing for anything. But it's seemingly, outside of the Bills in London, all the top-tier teams, Jacksonville getting at home this year. He's Dalton Miller. He's constantly working on prepping for the draft. He does a weekly Cowboys podcast, and he joins us much of the time here on Miller and Moulton. Well, we mentioned the Bills, and a gentleman in our Twitch chat room says, hey, is Dalton ready to write off the Bills? If the playoffs started today, Dalton, they're out.
Yeah, it's their defense has been really bad ever since they lost Matt Milano, Taquan Jones, and Tre'Davious White. It's been one of the bottom 3 or 4 defenses in the NFL, and I don't know if they're going to be able to recover from that. I think that when you look at how Josh Allen has played outside of, I think this past week and the first week of the season, I think you could look at him and say that he might be the MVP of the league. The problem is there are those inconsistent games where he just absolutely loses his mind. He has 3 or 4 turnover-worthy plays in the game, and that offense today puts that defense in a bad situation because that defense can't consistently get stops. So I think that he needs to play out of his mind for the rest of the season, and they need to figure something out on the defensive side of the ball because that secondary is really struggling. And I think it all kind of comes down to, even more than the loss of Tre'Davious White, the loss of Matt Milano in the middle has been huge for them. And the loss of Daquan Jones in the middle has been huge for them. And I think that defenses these days, especially a defense that runs a lot of zone coverage the way that they do, I think having a strong spine is really important. Now, they have the safeties there. They're getting a little bit older, and they're still super talented. But I think they're losing at the second level, and they are losing in the interior because they don't have Daquan Jones anymore.
What's your take from the Cowboys' loss? I thought it's as well. I mean, Dak played that so well. They're inches away from 2 plays that could have changed the outcome of that game. I actually think more of Dallas after the loss than I did going into that game. What is your takeaway from it?
Yeah, it's tough. It's just the little things with the Dallas Cowboys that, even when they play well, it seems that they come up a little bit short in certain situations. I think that Dak Prescott over the past 3 games has played the best football I've seen him play since 2019. Before the ankle injury, he's using his legs way more than I've seen him do since the ankle injury, and he's been really good throwing the ball on the run. The offense looks way better coming out of the bye. They're using motion at the snap a lot more, and then when you look defensively, they have a couple of holes that they need to really look at, but for all intents and purposes, they outplayed Philadelphia, but it comes down to Philadelphia, kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers, just finding ways to win football games even when you are being outplayed. And I think that that's what you saw in that game. Philadelphia, a little bit outplayed. I think Dallas had some untimely issues with penalties that really shook them. And then obviously stepping out of bounds on the 2-point conversion and being down at the half-yard line on 4th down was the difference in the game.
Why do you believe they match up so much better with Philadelphia than San Francisco? Because Philly's got arguably the best offensive line in the league, and yet they seem to hold up better at the point of attack against the Eagles than they do against the Niners.
Yeah, I think part of it is that the 49ers, for so long, the middle of that defense, Fred Warner, first of all, is Dak Prescott's kryptonite. I don't know what it is about number 54. Dak Prescott won't even look over the middle of the field when he is on the field. And that's a tough, position to be in for the Cowboys offense because Dak Prescott really thrives over the middle of the field. But for some reason, Fred Warner just absolutely takes that away. I think Talanoa Hufanga in the middle of the field makes things difficult as well. Plus, they just rush with 4 guys and they play coverage. And I think when you look at how good Dak Prescott is in certain situations, he's really good against the blitz. And the 49ers don't blitz very often. And for some reason, the 49ers specifically on the defensive front have given the Cowboys offensive line a lot of trouble now. There might just be a lot of trouble moving forward because Terrence Steele isn't playing very well right now. He got absolutely mollywopped against the Philadelphia Eagles this past week. But I think overall, it's just the defensive philosophy in San Francisco is a little bit different. And that's why Dallas matches up so poorly with them.
Was that mollywopped?
Yes, that's one of my favorite ones. I use it in my writing quite a bit as well. I don't know why that one always comes up for me, but it's one of my favorites.
And it's now one of ours, too. That goes in the all-time list. I like that quite a bit. Looking back at last week and the Dolphins specifically, there's now seems to be a formula to get them. Sack Tua. And defenses are impressed. At the top level, the defenses are impressive this year. What can Miami do to avoid the opposition defense in their backfield taking Tua down?
I think the communication on their offensive line has to be a little bit better. And I think just having their guys back and healthy is going to be huge. Teron Armstead, one of the best left tackles in the NFL, he's had issues throughout his entire career staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, if they can get that interior sorted out, Connor Williams, there was a reason he didn't play center in Dallas. It's because snapping the ball is still an issue for him. He's great outside of that, but his snaps are inconsistent. And when you have those inconsistent ball placement on the snap, it makes Tua gather it just for that split second longer. And the best thing about Tua and that Miami offense is the timing over the middle of the field and being able to throw with unbelievable anticipation and just throw to windows that don't really exist outside of if Tyreek Hill is not running those routes. So I think that in a timing-based offense like that, you need better communication on the offensive line. And that just is troubling right now because so many of these defenses, Steve Spagnuolo might be the best at it, at hiding blitzes, hiding where the pressure is coming from, and then bringing it from somewhere else. I think that was the biggest issue with the Miami offense in that game.
Dolphins back-to-back weeks, however, their defense has held their opponent to under 300 total yards. It sounds, Dalton, like looking at the Bills' issues and looking at the Dolphins' issues, and Miami now with a one-game lead going forward, that you like Miami to win the East.
I do. I do like Miami to win the East. I think they're going to continue to get a little bit healthier on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know how things will progress with Jalen Ramsey on the back end, but it doesn't seem like teams really want to test him at all. And that's huge for that defense, which I think, if they can continue to kind of lock down one side of the field with Jalen, I think that it just helps out the rest of that secondary that has struggled so much this year.
He's Dalton Miller. He's always working ahead on the draft. He has a weekly Cowboys podcast, and he covers the NFL as a whole for Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. You can follow them at PFN365. Follow Dalton on Twix at Dalton B. Miller. Dalton, the letter B, Miller. Dalton, as always, thanks for your time and your insight. We appreciate it. Be well.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. Always a pleasure.
Dalton Miller, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. You can tell he's very detailed, does a lot of homework. We like people like that.
By the way, for those of you wondering what mollywopped means, according to the Urban Dictionary, it is the act of pulling one's shirt over their head and beating them in the face. Usually accomplished by punching one in the...
Okay.
There you go.
In the molly?
Something like that.
Right.
I think that's the first time that word has been used on this show.
At 17 years, 3 acts, that's our first mollywop. And I'm with you. I like it. I don't want to overuse it.
No. It's you got to pick your spots with mollywopped.
See, Trent, week 3, look at the education you're getting.
Yeah, but Trent probably already knew what it meant.
I mean, I didn't know the exact pull the shirt over the head and that kind of thing, but yeah. I've heard it used before, sparsely. David, we should just use it when the Sharks lose 10-1. That's a mollywop.
Are we really going to use mollywop for the San Jose Sharks?
Well, I think you can fit it in on beatdowns during the starting 5.
Okay.
But it has to be like a real beatdown. It can't just be like a 10-point loss.
When I had the Pacers plus 10 against the Celts and they lost by 51.
That would have been mollywopped, yes.
Exactly. The Celtics mollywopped the Pacers. Right. Last night, Creighton mollywopped FAMU 105-54. That's a mollywop. Right. Okay. I just don't know if I want to do it every day.
No. I weekly at best.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's always a daily mollywopping going on.
I mean, the Devils just got beat by the Avs. They didn't get mollywopped.
No.
Mm-mm. If they had been mollywopped, I don't know how Seth Everett would have acted. But he should be in decent spirits. He's next on Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening, the Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So did you stay up, watch the game?
I did. I got bollywalked.
Molly-whopped.
Whatever.
Molly-whopped.
It was a great game up until the third period. Third period blew.
Well, that's kind
Ross
of
Colton is going to get suspended. He hit Luke Hughes, and it was 3-3. We had a 7-minute power play, scored twice on it. It was a great game. 3-3 going into the third, and then they just they scored 2 goals in 2 minutes. And
they're good.
They're a good team.
Goalie's not. Once again, hey, just keep doing this without a goalie. Don't worry about it.
Right.
I mean, you got a team capable of winning the Stanley Cup. Just don't get a goalie. No problem.
But they held their own without Jack and Nico, and all the stats are misleading because they're like, yeah, it's the top power play in the league, but they don't have their 2 best players. What are you going to do?
Remember, in the playoffs, you get less power plays. Trust me, I'm a Rangers fan. I know about a team living on the power play.
Oh, my kids were really funny. So the game was even later than a normal Denver game. Usually Denver's 9:00. They made it 10 because of TNT.
Right.
And because the Ranger game went long, they delayed the start of the other game. My kids are struggling to stay up, and they just go, "We're waiting for the Rangers to finish."
Well, they are your kids.
I was like, right on.
And the Rangers and Red Wing game, that just looked glorious. Those 2 unis, they looked so good on the ice.
Yeah, they do.
It was great when it ended and we finally got going.
I thought the shot was too wide for the Avs Devils. I just felt it needed to be tighter.
I think that's Prudential, not Prudential, whatever they call that arena, Pepsi Center, whatever.
Yeah.
Ball
arena. That's where the cameras are, Yeah. Sports with friends. I'm at like the 2-yard line. I'm so close to being done. And I started watching the game.
What are you talking about? You had a 3-hour game. That game wasn't worth watching the other night. You didn't get it all done.
I was in the other room. I wasn't in here. I was in a zone. And then once the third period happened, it was 1:00, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this now. But It's as soon as I sat down at my desk, I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot!" And I have literally just like 2 ads to put in, and I'm done. And Hall of Justice, there's a major issue. I did a 2-part episode with this young lady, and it was late last week, and I'd made the decision to split it. But the problem is this woman, she needs to come back for 5 minutes and just say, "Thanks for having me back," or something like that, to make it a 2-part episode. And she has like this migraine headache, and she's been in bed for 3 days. If not, the whole podcast sounds dumb.
Seth, what did you think of the Newcastle Arsenal match?
Who said that?
Someone just asked it in our Twitch chat room.
What did I think?
Yeah.
I think their instant replay is, we're not on the radio, right?
I'll just never know.
Here we go.
It's BS.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton, at least along the network. The Diamond District bonus hour awaits at the top of the hour. We're Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. This day and time means Seth Everett, he of Sports with Friends and Hall of Justice. Follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at Seth_Everett. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. How do you be?
Do you know what I'm
surprised more people don't do that to you, David?
Yeah, you say
When
top of
you
the
know,
morning.
you have a lot of regular guests on here, and you hit them with the top of the morning, and Seth's the only one to go full Irish on you.
Right. Well, I mean, it is Seth. Okay, so if we're gonna get Jersey back at Jersey, it's gonna come from Seth. Do you know what a mollywhopping is?
Well, I listened to your last segment, so now I know.
Did you know what it was before our last segment?
I thought it was something that you could take on the weekends to take the edge off.
Take the wop off, and then you have your own fun.
Molly. Right. Hey, you okay with Brian Cashman yesterday? Just even cursing a couple times and basically being like, you know what? I'm tired of listening to you guys for the last 2 months basically say I suck and we suck. You know what? I'm not going to say you suck, but I'm just going to curse at you a couple times and imply that you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about.
It is such the word trend doesn't even apply to the amount of vitriol towards Brian Cashman. And the reporters can't help but see it. All these articles now have comments. And so these reporters are writing these articles, whether it's Newsday, whether it's The Athletic, whether it's the New York Post, whatever it is, they see the comments. And everything is get rid of Cashman. And my argument about Cashman, and I love Brian Cashman. I adore him. I just think he's been a GM the entirety of my career, and I'm turning 50. And so, like, the idea that he's still doing the same job, eventually, how's this? This is a way to compliment Brian Cashman. I think they should fire Cashman, and I think he should resurface with another team. Change of scenery.
Basically, too many years in one place.
Too many years of doing the same thing. And, you can weigh all the successes and the failures. And as the years mount up, this is my Eli Manning theory. As the years add up, there's more negative than positive. But at one point, there was 2-1 more positive than negative. He traded for Randy Johnson.
Oh,
Raul Mondesi. He did the Raul Mondesi deal.
Well,
I had black hair.
The Raul Mondesi deal? He did that?
Yeah, when he traded a bag of balls for Raul Mondesi. And at the time, cash poor Blue Jays just said, sure, take our right fielder.
Wow. He went Raul Mondesi to defend Brian Cashman. I don't even think the former Mrs. Cashman would go Raul Mondesi to defend Brian Cashman.
Do you guys want to hear my favorite Yankee spring training fan story? Because you talk about fans and vitriol.
Okay.
Do you remember Ruben Rivera?
Yeah.
The guy who stole Jeter's glove. Remember that?
Yep.
So I was at a spring training game, covering a spring training game, and some family members of mine were in the stands. So I go down the first base line, and I'm in the third base line, and Ruben Sierra is in the on deck circle, and some Yankee fan just stands up and goes, "Hey, Ruben, why don't you steal another one of Jeter's gloves?" And another guy 2 sections down screams, "Wrong Ruben!" Idiot.
Blank.
You know.
Well, edit their own, at least.
They correct their own jeering.
That's good. That's a good thing. Hey, I'm curious. You know, the Michigan sign stealing scandal. Yeah. What your thoughts are? Because you're not a
penalty.
Seriously,
5 years. Get rid of them.
No. Is this a hatred to Michigan, or do you actually think
I just hate Michigan? I can't.
Well, why do you hate Michigan? Wait a minute. We understand your hatred towards like the Rangers as a Devils fan. I mean, you're a Syracuse fan. What the hell's your hatred to Michigan?
There's an X involved. My brother-in-law went there. It's a whole thing.
Man, yeah. Very convoluted. But in all seriousness, is this a story? That's our poll question today. Is this a story, or is this something in which you're like, please, or you know what, they should be punished, or no, you should throw the book at them?
Well, they should throw the book at them. I mean, it's cheating, and it's just funny how there was so much animosity towards the Astros when they were stealing signs, different methods, but they were stealing signs, and it's comical to me how people in Michigan try to defend the action. Just take the hit. You did it. And Harbaugh should be suspended. Let him miss the Penn State game. Show me something. But the NCAA doesn't do that.
No, they don't. And if anything's done, it will be the Big Ten. And Pete Thamel reporting that Michigan finished their response and that there will be no issues from the Big Ten office in their estimation today. If anything will happen, it will be tomorrow as far as any sort of suspension on the
let him miss the Penn State game. Clause. I triple dare them. Show me something.
Is that enough, though? Because I think most of us, it's like Harbaugh took a 3-game suspension to start the year, and we looked at the opponents. And I understand they got Penn State on Saturday. But is it enough to just punish Harbaugh, or do you have to punish the team?
Well, how do you do that? You make
you make them ineligible. I mean, if I were the commissioner of the Big Ten, I would make them ineligible.
Music to my ears.
What?
Music to my ears. Do it. Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, is that because penalizing the coach who makes $7 million, who has a richer contract extension waiting for him in the desk drawer once this matter is resolved. I mean, most of us view that, big deal. Jim Harbaugh misses 1 or 2 games, a $10,000 fine. Ooh. Okay. I mean, it's like saying you did something and not really. It's like the parent, my wife joked about her late dad. Okay. He got really mad at her one time and grounded her. All right. And she said 4 hours later, he damn near came with the water in his eyes, apologizing, and let me out of the house.
Well, I wouldn't do that. I would take the key, lock Harbaugh up. That do that. Have a public display of it too. Who knows? My argument for that is, given that it's November, they won't do it. If it was the early season and it was the non-conference, garbage schedule, then maybe they would. They would suspend him for 2 games and say, "Boy, we got our pound of flesh." But I would be stunned. And you're right. It's not the NCAA. It's the Big Ten. If the Big Ten suspends anyone for that Penn State game,
Right, because it's
the one
it's
that
hurting
they
the
are
Big Ten.
marketing and selling and doing.
What's in the Big Ten's best interest, Seth?
Right.
To have Michigan keep playing. I mean, there's
Well,
nothing.
that's the argument about ejecting NBA superstars. You know, you hurt yourself, not them. It's the same argument. You know, a lot of people say, well, why would you eject Giannis? People came to see Giannis. Well, it's too bad. He did the crimes. That's a fake crime. So if you're tuning in late, Giannis didn't do anything. The argument for Michigan is if you're going to punish them at the height of their season, which is now.
He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. Follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at Seth_Everett. What do you got?
Sports with Friends is an introduction to the Premier League from an American perspective. A gentleman by the name of Laurent Cortines, who's hosted an American-centric Premier League podcast for 10 years, joined me and explained the ins and outs, the media part of it, why it's so popular, why it's gaining popularity, and where does MLS rank in the global stage. It's a really interesting podcast.
Could you define for me covering the Premier League from an American perspective?
Well, he's an American, grew up a baseball fan, actually knew me from my show with Darrell Hamilton. He's born in America and watches the Premier League here. So he has the perspective of having grown up with baseball, football, basketball, hockey, and now he's become this massive fan of the Premier League. He's me 10 years in the future. And so what he's done is he has the perspective of, what is the thing that he sees in the Premier League that he doesn't see in American sports? And it's not a bashing of American sports. We both profess our love for football and hockey and other sports. The thing that is interesting is what makes this sport so unique. He explains relegation. He explains the transfer window, the loaning, and he explains it from a perspective of it doesn't sound like a course. It just sounds like a discussion where he's telling me things that I've seen and now make a lot more sense.
I'm in. I need this. This is basically like Premier League 101 for the someone who knows the sport but doesn't know the ins and outs of the league.
Yeah, and basically the Premier League is a media company that, similarly to the NCAA, they don't have a real governing body. And when you sign with a team, you sign with the club. You don't sign with a league, and the club can enter as many leagues as they want. And so that's why you have, for example, Arsenal is in the Champions League. They're in the Premier League. They're in the Carabao Cup. They're in this thing, that thing, Shamil Shamazel, Hot and Pepper Incorporated, and all these different leagues. And you just wonder, but your contract, the player plays for the team, not the league. It's a very interesting perspective.
All right, 30 seconds, Hall of Justice.
Hall of Justice is part 2 of our Marvel discussion, the state of Marvel Studios, with the revelation that with Jonathan Majors' sexual assault case coming, should Marvel recast? Should they get rid of the villain? What should Marvel do? It's a crisis mode for Marvel Studios.
He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. Seth_Everett on Twitter/X. Seth, thanks for your time, buddy. Take care.
My kid had this yesterday.
Talk into the mic, please.
My kid had this yesterday. She told me about, I told her about this segment.
Very good. That's a Twix wrapper. Someone already had the Twix, both left and right side. Miller and Moulton. Thanks, Seth. We'll be back with more in a moment right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, quick little PSA. Some people watch this live on YouTube and they comment on the YouTube video. So if you're watching on YouTube, head over to the Twitch stream room. That's where we're more likely to see your comments. Because I think Twitch just exports it out to YouTube, right, Mark? Is that how that works?
I
don't
StreamYard. I can put it up on. I bought the Plus, so I can load it to Facebook. I can do multiple.
Gotcha. All I'm saying is there's just some people that watch on YouTube Live, which there's nothing wrong with
YouTube.
that.
You know why? It's easier for people.
Oh, I get that, but we don't see the comments is what I'm saying. I mean, there's a good amount of comments in here. If you would like to be a part of the Twitch experience, twitch.tv, Miller Moulton. PSA over.
Oh, boy. David, I made a huge mistake.
Uh-oh.
Huge mistake. This whole travel soccer thing happened, and I know a couple of the kids that should be on the team, so I kind of grabbed the coach last night and said, who's on the team? What about this girl? What about this girl? And he's texting me now for another tournament, wants me to help him put a roster together.
No. I'm too busy, man. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm too busy to help out my daughter. Right.
Hey, Mark, if you can't get your fantasy team right, maybe you can.
That's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a
team.
GM of U10 soccer teams. Yeah, Adam, I love it. That's the kind of passion I'm talking about. Thank you, Adam.
David, what's the next Monday night game?
Denver at Buffalo,
Oh,
and then the Super Bowl rematch, Eagles Chiefs.
Do you like Buffalo
as a city?
Just do you like like as a football town? Do you like it?
Do
you like going there?
Yeah, Buffalo's okay. I know a few people there. There's a handful of places that are, good times.
Yeah. Bills fans are incredible too. I mean, I know they get talked about. They have the reputation, but it's deserved. They're awesome.
Oh, yeah, I covered the Bills in the early 90s during their glory days. We would alternate between going to the Giants game and going to the Bills game because Binghamton was kind of like halfway for both.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. No, nuts.
My family and I, speaking of nuts, we drove to Buffalo to watch the Lions play the Bills in 2018. It was Josh Allen's rookie year. Lions were up 13-7 at half, lost 14-13. Long, sad drive home. But Bills fans were incredible. They were so much fun.
It's a fan base that deserves two fan bases that deserve a parade.
Yeah.
Trent, that's my thing. Every fan base deserves a parade. You don't deserve more than one, but you deserve every fan base deserves a parade. In your lifetime, you should get a parade.
I like that. T-shirt idea.
I love a parade.
Miller and Moulton. The
I
place.
love Broadway.
Yeah, for the record, Adam, John Harbaugh should not be asked any questions about this. I feel bad for the guy. The fact that he's even associated with this in any way, last name only. All right, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Bud Elliott will join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time to talk all things college football, which is the focus of our poll question today, which is trying to gauge from you, the listener, the fan, this Michigan story. Basically, what's your level of, I don't know, angst, outrage, indifference? That's what we're trying to find out. That's our poll question. How did we word it exactly?
What should the punishment for Michigan sign stealing be? Nothing. Suspend for the Big Ten championship game. Suspend from playoff.
And this is
right
Michigan's punishment, not Harbaugh's. Michigan's.
Because I think we're all of the belief that suspending Harbaugh is not really doing this. If you're going to suspend someone, you have to suspend the entire team, not just Harbaugh. Right now, nothing is leading the vote with 42%.
Sickening.
Suspend from the Big Ten championship games at 31%, and suspend from the college football playoff is at 27%. But 58% of our audience thinks there should be a pretty harsh suspension given to the University of Michigan.
So a mutual friend of ours just sent out a tweet in which he's wondering now, and full disclosure, he's a Michigan fan. And he just simply says, shouldn't we just wait, due process? And here's my thing about that. Because he asked, how many times has a conference stepped in and done something before the NCAA came to a conclusion? And I said, I don't know how many times a conference has gotten involved, period. I mean, if you think about it, Mark, what the Big Ten has come out and done, we don't normally see this, do we?
No.
The conference usually hides behind we sent everything to the NCAA, and we'll wait to hear what they decide. And then if we feel that something additional needs to be done, we will take it up at that time. Is that pretty good? I get that?
That was solid.
And all that, yeah. So, but the Big Ten was the one that came out 2-3 weeks ago, and they said, no, this is serious. We're looking into this now. We're going to conduct our own investigation. Wait, what?
That one right there, I think, has so many Big Ten people miffed. Because if you're like me in my 50s, growing up in that part of the world, it was the Big Two and the Little Eight. Nothing else mattered except for what Michigan and Ohio State did. And certainly it was only positive things because they weren't going to get in trouble for anything. If you tried to keep up with them, you got in trouble. You got put on probation. So for the Big Ten to be handing any sort of punishment to Michigan, there's part of me that thinks that there's no way in hell it'll happen.
But the fact that they took the lead on this, not the NCAA, the Big Ten said, we're going to address this. What has the Big Ten done? They're conducting their own investigation. They had the coaches scream and yell for an hour and a half last week. Then they had the ADs the next day scream and yell for an hour to an hour and a half. Michigan spent a day and a half with Tony Petitti and Big Ten leadership and lobbied their side. You know, like Martin in our Twitch chat room. Guys, I can't hear you talk about this anymore. Seriously. But it's not a thing to me. Fair enough. I do think, though, Martin, there's ramifications going forward for other conferences, in all seriousness, because there are going to be other teams in other conferences who are going to get caught cheating in the future. And this will be, if the Big Ten does nothing, after giving the impression that they were going to, then, you know, I mean, why would Greg Sankey, let's just say there's an Alabama, Georgia, LSU scandal down the road. Doesn't Greg Sankey kind of see what happens here? Why should he do anything more severe than whatever is going to happen here?
And even more so if the Big Ten decides they're doing nothing, but they get all this evidence, or they say, we've compiled it, we're going to give it to the NCAA. Now think about that for a second. The conference is going to actually help the NCAA get one of its member institutions in trouble?
Right.
How's that going to sit with the other schools in that conference? It's why very few coaches have come forward to yell and scream. They yelled and screamed on the conference call.
Right.
That's a private conference call. We don't know what they said. We know they were angry. We know they were honked off, but we don't know what they said. To me, there's a reason why these coaches aren't coming out. They want to, but they don't know what stones are going to be unturned in their program.
Mm-hmm. Plus, there's the whole, hey, if one of ours gets in the playoff, we get money for that. I mean, that trickles downhill.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Sonny Dykes knew, and that's why he changed the signs?
Yes.
Yes.
And that to me, honestly, that is the one guy we haven't heard from that I want to hear from. Why can't the national media get a hold of Sonny Dykes or show up at his weekly presser and say, hey, we need to talk about the semifinal against Michigan, and at least get him to say, I don't want to talk about it. Which then, of course, begs the question, well, why would you not want to talk about it? It's your crowning achievement as a coach. Yeah. I mean, hey, did you have information that they had your signs? You guys didn't do anything wrong. Why do you not want to talk about it? Why? Did you do something wrong? No.
Simply, did you change all your signs for the semifinal game last year?
Yeah.
Coach, we obviously all know what's going on in Michigan.
Yeah. And were you tipped off that they had your signs? And did you, in the 3 weeks between getting the berth and playing them, did you change your signs? Yes or no? I mean, what's the harm in answering those questions? Yeah. Yeah. We were told, had a couple of buddies, and they said, hey, trust me, they got your signals. Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Got it. Thanks. Appreciate it. What TCU do wrong? TCU doesn't even have to know how they got the signals. But Sonny Dykes' friends, they called them up and they said, oh, yeah, they got your signs. Trust me. Absolutely positive they got your signs. Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
They've had everybody's for 2 years. Trust me, they've got yours.
Yeah. They got a thing. They got a system. Guy didn't even have to they got a system. They're doing it better than anybody else. Trust me. Huh. Okay. So that's who I'm waiting to hear from. Because also, don't you want to know, like, what they do? Just little things, like when you're the third base coach and you change the indicator as to, then what you're signaling. I mean, don't you want to know what they did? Because a lot of the coaches that, I know I'm hearing information from, and people I know who are talking to them, okay, the coaches are saying, man, it's a problem to change your signals. It's a real problem with the way we're doing offense now. You're not just giving the signal to the quarterback. You're giving signals to everybody. And to change your signals, you got to have 11 guys, then be on the same page. It's a pain.
And you only have so many hours per week at the collegiate level for practice. So, I mean, we know that they break it as best they can.
Right.
But there are only so many hours in a day to change all of these things, and they still have to practice.
And they basically imply, like, listen, we're a staff for however long, and we run the same signals. I mean, and once you get them, you got them. You got us. So, all right.
We'll ask Bud Elliott about that. Talk a little Canes and Knowles.
Yeah.
All things college football with Bud Elliott. He's next on Miller and Moulton.
Friends and family of Southwest Florida, are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Good morning, Bud.
Morning, guys.
How are you?
Doing well. Just watching the board and seeing all the stuff going on, and pretty good weekend in college football we got coming up.
Yeah, we do. Hey, by the way, David, I don't know if you caught it, but Wallach just sent out 2 tweets. Wes Flagler files motion with the Florida Supreme Court to expedite consideration of its request for the all writs relief to immediately suspend Florida sports betting law pending a final ruling in the case. That didn't take long.
Okay. Can you translate that for me?
I wish I could. That's why I said it with Bud here. He's the lawyer.
So are we going to get sports betting in Florida like more than we have with the app right now?
Well, no, not until this goes to the Supreme Court and we get the gambling shut down because they violated the IGRA laws that they've been losing all the way up until they finally won at that last district court level. So, the guy that we brought on for 2 years, 3 years on this has said forever that there's no way this gets through because of precedent with the Indian Gaming Regulations Act, but it did. So now the Hail Mary for this West Flagler group is the Supreme Court.
I don't know. Like if it was the off season, I'd be paying more attention to it, right? My real question right now is, what is the formula for getting a Hard Rock account to VIP status, and how long do they ignore that account once it gets VIP status? Because I know what the formula is on a couple of the other U.S. domestics, right? Like how many bets you got to make, how bad the bet's got to be, then they get the VIP status, and then they ignore the account for about 2 weeks. You can run winning bets through the account, and then they finally catch on and they ban the account. But like, I don't know what that is for Hard Rock.
Ban the account. So you mean like when you start winning, they ban your account?
Oh yeah, a lot of these U.S. domestics do. Like they're not. Most states don't allow banning, but they cut your limits to like $7.
Okay.
Or everything that gets bet is sent for approval, and you get the spinning wheel, and then it comes back to you. Like you asked for 1,000, and you get like here's $11. So there's a lot of guys that basically all they do is they farm accounts, and then they make bad wagers for X number of plays / dollars. The algorithm classifies them as a losing player, puts them in the VIP program. VIP plays don't get sent for review. And
so what you need to do is go lose a little bit on purpose.
Yeah. If you come out and you're firing like Mac unders and stuff like that to start, or like first half team total type stuff, you're just gonna get some special attention.
So like my NHL plays last night, all right, if I had done that, I have a chance to be VIP status.
Correct. Yeah. If you lost those VIPs, yeah.
Now, is that something where you don't get this in Vegas when you go out there? They don't care. Or if you're at a sports book, for instance,
they definitely care somewhat. So like a lot of these guys who are pro sports bettors will try to find like big time losing blackjack players, because those guys will get really high house limits because they're not seen as as winners, and they slide their action in under them, and then the books kind of got to talk to their risk guys on the floor and be like, all right, like, hey, we think this, like, these bets are like, they're hot bets, clearly, like they're good stuff. They're not this guy's own bets most likely, but how much does this dude lose at Baccarat, right? So are we just going to wear this and take it or not? Yeah, it's called flipping a whale.
But for the record, my mom really likes you, but she wants you to stop wearing your hat. Okay.
Oh,
okay. She wants,
well,
so that just, if you're trying to impress my mom in the future, just keep that in mind. That's all.
This hair this morning is,
I think there's
I'll do the hair next week for your mom.
Okay.
What's her name?
She goes by Kit.
There you go. All right, Kit. I got you. Wait, that means Kit is watching on Twitch.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. Look at that.
I think she's even got it on the TV.
Oh man,
laying in bed.
My mom used to watch what people would say to me on Twitter and stuff.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
He's Bud Elliott. We bring him on at this day and time. We talk college football, which today we've been talking a lot of, and for the most part, just talking about what, if anything, the Big Ten is going to do to Michigan, but also how much do you care? And we've had a few people tell us, yeah, I got to admit, stop talking about this. I don't care. Bud Elliott makes his living on college football, CBS Sports HQ, 24/7 Sports, the Cover 3 podcast, and Nolecast. Very curious, Bud. Okay, this is your life. Every single person, theoretically, listening to you, watching you, responding to you, it's all about college football. What's your reaction? What is their reaction? Does the nation care about this story?
I think people in the Big Ten really care about this story. Like Ohio State fans really care. Penn State fans really care. And Michigan fans obviously care. Georgia fans seem to care an awful lot because I think they recognize how good that Michigan team probably is, and you might have to play them in the playoff. And I think if you're a fan of the sport in general, you may be a little tired of this story dragging out, but you may not, right? Like, I think a lot of it's just how much do you know about the sport? What's your perspective? I'm sort of in the camp where I think almost all your really good teams in sports, not just college football, are cheating somehow, right? It's a super competitive $1 million, $1 billion business. I just, maybe that makes me a huge cynic and takes some of the joy out of it. But I mean, like the Astros weren't the only ones cheating in baseball. Like I know that you have schools sending guys to parking garages to video practices, right? Like we know that schools have hired guys who just worked on a staff who just got fired to come and spend the week with them to explain like exactly what they do, what this signal means, what that signal means, all that kind of stuff. So I think we're getting a bit semantical with the stuff that Michigan released yesterday, right? As far as like other teams had their signs too, and they're collaborating or colluding to, to get their signs. But Michigan did break the rule, it looks like. The only real question now is how big the punishment will be, and can they prove that the rest of the staff knew, or did this guy, being some sort of like military intelligence savant, did he somehow just get this stuff and nobody really knew how he got it, right? And sort of plausible deniability, turn a blind eye type thing. I think the Big Ten will try to punish them somehow.
My only thing is Michigan not knowing is that he was a volunteer for 2 years doing this and a low-level coach for 2 years doing this.
Yeah.
They don't make that much money to be at that level. He's not making the kind of money to afford all these. At least, someone's got to be paying for this, bud.
Totally. Look, I should have clarified. Can you prove that they knew? Can you prove that they financed it? Clearly, look, nobody has a laminated chart of all of their hand signals in the first quarter of a game without doing something weird, right? Like you're not getting all of that just stone cold from the TV copy. It's, can you prove they knew? Can you prove? Now, look, this was pretty sloppy. So maybe there's some paper trail they can find that other guys knew other guys' finances. If they were smart, they would have just used cash. But a lot of these guys are clearly not all that smart. I'll also say Stallions looks more and more like an unhinged fan every single little thing that comes out, and that's just better for Michigan. It is. Like, you need to paint this guy as a rogue super fan who happened to weasel his way on the coaching staff, and they thought he was a military savant.
The HOA argument of the business that he was running out of his house and blaming it on a neighbor who was a Michigan State fan is rich. That is fantastic.
And it plays into the idea that he's a crazy super fan. Like his legal defense is that I coach for Michigan and this Michigan State fan doesn't like me.
Yes.
Well, also, what came out yesterday that he's got an LLC and he's got 2 Michigan players that are also listed as partners. And when those players were confronted about it yesterday, they basically said, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah, and the LLC is the exact same name as Blake Corum's legitimate LLC, which is incorporated in Virginia, I believe. And this one that is in question is in Wyoming.
Right.
Like, it's the same name. Like the guy's on the staff and still needs to be associated with the players that hard. Like, this is a little, it's a little kind of, I want to wear a skin suit of you type thing, right?
All right, we got to move on and cover a lot of other ground very quickly. All right. Do you think that the team should be punished by the conference or just Harbaugh?
Probably not the players. I don't think the players knew, right? It's their first time playing college football. They probably just assume this is normal behavior, right? This is just what happens in college. Coaches probably should some because it was a rule. They did break the rule.
Okay. He's Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports HQ, Cover 3 Podcast, Nolecast. Follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at Bud Elliott, 3, Bud Elliott 3.
Who's got the best shot to beat the Noles the rest of the way before the ACC championship, Bud?
I think Florida, because Florida, a lot of Florida's problems are still self-inflicted, and the game is in the swamp, right? And UF does have some legitimate athletes there. I probably would have said Miami due to the defensive line, but Miami just offensively, they just, are they really trustworthy? I don't think so with the quarterback play. I mean, Van Dyke does not look right at all. No. And I mean, are you going to play a freshman quarterback who just played about 100 miles west of Doak Campbell Stadium last year, and now he's playing in Doak in front of a sellout crowd in this game? Are you going to play Ja'Curry Brown, who's basically like modified Wildcat that you're running when he's in there. With all due respect, I mean, we've seen that before. Like he's not a capable quarterback at this level. Van Dyke has like Chuck Knobloch style yips, which is a problem. So I'm going to go with the Gators if I have to pick a team to upset them. It is a road game. Florida has real athletes. Yeah.
Adam in our Twitch chat room is a frustrated Gators fan. All right. And he feels that Billy Napier is their Willie Taggart. Is he right?
No, I don't think so. Napier's recruiting class is really good. I mean, Florida has a top 3 recruiting class in the country right now. The Lagway kid at quarterback is really high level player. I mean, like if he hits, he's Cam Newton. So that is an encouraging sign for Gators fans. Like really, really special player. He's finally taking that talent and turning it into production on the field too, which is that step that we wanted to see from him as a senior. Florida's doing a nice job recruiting the lines of scrimmage too. So recruits still believe in Billy Napier. I also just don't think it's reasonable to fire this guy because there's no way you would let the AD make 3 hires and 3 fires. So
No. He's getting no. I mean, when the 5 big money people walk in the room, they're saying to Scott, "Don't know what to tell you. You got to go too."
Yeah, 100%. So they have a crazy hard schedule next year too. Billy Napier is not in jeopardy of being fired. Like I talked to a couple agents. No, I think they could lose out, and I expect him to be back.
5-game losing streak, 5-7, year 2, 6-7, 6-7, 5-7. You think Scott Strickland and Billy Napier see 2024?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I just think look, here's the thing. I think they've messaged to recruits that it was going to be a tough year. So it's not like they're having a bunch of kids jump ship. You don't want to lose the recruiting class, which of course, hey, if you fire them, after next year too, like they could just all transfer if you wanted to. If you put a new coach in there, you're sort of setting them up to have a really rough first year, which is going to be bad for momentum, given, again, Florida plays Miami, UCF, and Florida State next year. They don't get like the annual game against like Vandy and South Carolina. They have to go to Texas as an added road game. Like there's a pretty good chance Florida finishes somewhere between like 4-8 and 8-4 next year. It's a very wide projections band.
Well, Bud, we think outside of Michigan's schedule for next year, we think Florida's got the second hardest schedule in the country next year.
It's so hard to do that pre-transfer portal because we don't know who's going to get.
True.
But yeah, like for sure. Just on name brands and just, that certain teams are going to have a certain quality of athlete at a bare minimum. I agree. Yeah. So do you want to set up a new coach with that? Also, if you're Florida, do you want to constantly fire coaches nonstop? Like allow these guys to work a little bit. Like Napier needs to make some changes. I don't think he's anything special as an OC, right? And I know other guys in the Sun Belt who coached against him who didn't either. And I think there probably is some signal that LSU wanted nothing to do with him when they were making their hire. And they were thrilled when Florida hired him. Okay. If I'm a Florida fan, that concerns me a little bit. That the in-state big SEC school who should know didn't want him. But at the same time, like he is a really good recruiter. I think he did make some good staff hires. Can he make a change or two? And you can't commit all these special teams just game-killing penalties all the time. Like that is a problem.
Crystal Ball then just a great recruiter that's just not a good game day coach, Bud?
I think that's a pretty good comp, actually. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. But is he making terrible game day coaching decisions, or are they just committing crazy penalties? Because Cristobal is like legitimately a poor game manager. Billy, I don't know if he does that, but they were leading the country in short yardage penalty EPA and special teams penalty EPA lost. Both categories. Like that's kind of nuts. At some point, that is coaching.
No question about it. Bud Elliott, once again, 24/7 Sports, Cover 3 Podcast, Nolecast. Follow him on Twix at Bud Elliott, 3.
What kind of shot you give the Nittany Lions on Saturday, Bud?
Some shot. A lot of it comes down to the improvement we saw against Maryland. Was that more to do with Penn State, or was it more to do with Maryland? Right? I kind of think it was more to do with Maryland. I think Maryland has some problems. I think Nebraska has a real shot to beat them this weekend. But if the improvements that led to a win of that size are really owned by Penn State, if that was Penn State turning a corner offensively, then I think they do have a shot. Like, I don't know that you're stealing from a betting perspective, laying 4.5 here or 5 in Happy Valley. Because like, what if you make Michigan a 30? Like, what's Penn State at worst? Like a 19 or a 20? You're going to give them 4 points for like a full real home field there in their biggest game of the year at home. It's like maybe even then the line should be 6 versus 4.5 is not a great value. But I think they have a shot to do it because we don't really know if Michigan tastes its own blood, right? Do we know how they're going to react? We don't. Like, everything they've tried this year has essentially worked. And even when a couple plays didn't work, like, well, we know we'll have this, this, and this. And maybe they just overwhelm Penn State at the lines of scrimmage, which is possible. And Penn State's offense has not looked good really except for one game this year. But I think they have some shot because Penn State's defense is for real.
Is Arizona, Colorado next year the highlight game of the Big 12? I mean, remember, we take Texas and Oklahoma out of the equation. That's a lot of sex appeal no longer walking down the runway. I mean, I love the Arizona coach. I think Michigan State should hire him. I think he should get a big job. But is Arizona, Colorado as sexy as the Big 12 gets next year?
It really could be. I mean, depending on, what you have going on at Kansas State. Like, Kansas State's good. Will like the national perspective really understand that Kansas State's a really good program and really well coached. Man, Arizona, I was so wrong about them. They lost a lot of their best players to the transfer portal, and you have to give their staff a ton of credit for going and replacing some of those guys. In some cases, maybe even upgrading on some of those dudes. And just the coaching staff has done a great job pulling it together, and look, Colorado's still out there fighting. I don't know who Dion will blame this week, but I'm sure it'll be somebody. I mean, look, like demoting Sean Lewis, who owns 3 of the best 6 Kent State coaching seasons since World War I, is probably a bad move, I would think. Like, I think that guy's a pretty good coach. And so do a lot of other offensive coaches. Like, my inbox has never blown up like that. Like, wait, what? What are they doing? So, yeah, if you're Brett Yormark of the new Big 12, I think you have some exciting opportunities, but you need to brand yourself correctly. And I think the correct way to do it is fun, exciting, close games every single week. This is a really entertaining product because they don't have anybody that's recruiting anything close to a national title level, right? Like, I think that's going to become pretty apparent pretty soon.
What's Ole Miss got to do to beat Georgia? We've got about a minute and a half, bud.
I think Ole Miss is a total scam, honestly. Like, Ole Miss's defense allowing 4 consecutive 75-plus yard drives to Texas A&M, which is a kid who I think has broken ribs, and Max Johnson. That's a problem for me. I've not been impressed with Ole Miss this year. They've got to find a way to hit explosive plays on Georgia, and they got to get a lot of pass pressure on Carson Beck without blitzing because I think they got to find a way to protect that secondary. I don't really think they will.
So Colorado making the change at offensive coordinator blew up your inbox more than the Hard Rock Sports app firing almost 24 hours ago to the minute.
Yes. Yeah. As far as like just coaches be like, wait, this has got to be a joke, right? And they couldn't believe it.
How much does the Hard Rock app change your life at all?
Not that much yet. I'm sort of sitting back in the cut because I have other avenues. I'm just kind of sitting back, like looking at some stuff available. We'll see. I do think that some of these alt lines on there are interesting. The way they price them.
Okay.
Always looking for value. He's Bud Elliott, CBS HQ 24/7 Sports, Cover 3 podcast, the Nolecast, and he joins us each week here on Miller and Moulton. As always, Bud, appreciate it.
See you guys. Be well.
That'll do it for the show on this Wednesday along the network. The Diamond District bonus hour for the 239 is next.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Canada relief. Yes, that Cam Newton story was fantastic. Did you guys hear that? Mark and David, did you hear about the Cam Newton when he was a rookie in Carolina? He wanted the number 2 because he wore it at Auburn and just was his number. And Jimmy Clausen was on the roster and he wore number 2 and said he'd give it to Cam for $1 million. And Cam said, "Kiss my blankety blank." And he wore number 1 instead. And then Jimmy Clausen, I think, was out of the league like 3 years later. It's kind of funny.
$1 million.
I know. It's like, come on. It's a jersey number.
Well, no. It is currency. Guys have gotten cars. They've gotten 50 grand. I mean,
you hear about it all the time. Like even the most random, I think Patrick Williams gave up 9 for Nikola Vucevic a couple of years ago. It's just like the most random guys you can think. I get it. Cam was did he win the Heisman?
Oh, yeah.
Cam won the Heisman, won the national championship. You're his backup. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby would have been 94 today, David.
Dadgummit. The world was a better place with him in it. Adam, does that mean you feel extra fat today? What is that? Is that what extra jolly is?
I think so. You know who's getting jolly?
I'll talk to you about that off air.
And Cassio's not even jolly anymore.
It's
depressing.
It is. I told
Skinnier
him.
than I am. I hate him.
Yeah.
Oh, the Christmas stations are like, oh. My wife still had Sirius XM. She'd be so happy.
So, but locally, have we gone Christmas in the 239?
Not next. I don't even know if they do that anymore next door.
Well, but there's other stations, remember, that used to be the competing stations.
Yeah,
Mark, I can't believe your wife's not all over this. This is a big deal to women.
She's working so much right now. She hates everybody and everything. Mostly me.
Well, you're the one home when she gets home, so she can't take it out on anybody else. Trust me, I'm standing in those very same shoes.
I knew it last night when I sent her a text of what she wanted for dinner, and she called me and basically started yelling at me. Not yelling at me. I'm getting a little overboard, but I didn't even read your text. What is it you want? I'm like, don't worry about it.
It's all good. There'll be a glass of wine waiting.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour on this hump day. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Getting over the hump together. Hope your week's gotten off to a good start. And hope it, there's nothing but get better. It's possible. It really is. I know it normally doesn't happen, but it's possible. This week will be different. It's all attitude. That's what I've been told. It's all about the attitude.
Back to summer in Southwest Florida. High 80s today. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous.
See, going to be low 80s where I am after it's been in the 60s. So, yeah. All right. See?
Brief fall ended. We're back to summer junior.
Hey, I'm curious. Anybody pay attention to FGCU Indiana last night? Remember it was just, a few years ago, pre-pandemic, that FGCU basketball was kind of a thing. Yeah, people were really into that.
You know who was paying attention to it last night?
Gamblers.
The Hard Rock Bet app.
Yes, they were.
FGCU has Indiana on upset alert as it's a 1-point game with 9 minutes left.
FGCU was up 8 with 10.5 to play. Indiana called timeout, went on a 16-0 run.
Yeah, stepped up the defense a little bit.
Yeah.
Literally, I was paying attention to the score. My daughter had soccer practice last night, so I'm paying attention to the score while I'm there. And I get home, I rush to put the TV on, and FGCU all of a sudden is down pretty big. I mean, my car ride home did not go well for the Eagles.
Well, a 16-0 run takes you from up 8 to down 8, but they cut it to 2 and had the ball down 3 with under 30 seconds to go with a chance to tie.
I will say, I don't know how much Coach Chambers will press all year because he was in a mode where they had no choice. But God, I love when a press works.
Oh, I just love that style of play. Didn't you love Nolan Richardson's 40 minutes of hell? UNLV's teams under Tarkanian, Patino's Providence teams and early Kentucky teams. I mean, I love it. You know what it's a lot like, Mark? It's a lot like the secondary that's very handsy, too. And early in the game, a few flags, legal contact, holding, maybe a pass interference. But then what happens? After a while, the officials are like, I can't. I'll just hold on to the flag. I guess I'll let that go. It's the same thing when you're a pressing team. Early on, you get called for some fouls. And that can be dangerous. The wrong guy picks up 2 quick ones. But, you get midway through that first half and you're pressing. The officials are kind of like, that's how it's going to be.
It's the baseball that we like. When all of a sudden, and Arizona lost the World Series, but Arizona starts putting the ball in play, starts moving the thing around, starts stealing bases like they did in the NLCS. It puts pressure on a team.
Yep. So, but a good performance. Indiana's solid team in the Big Ten this year. So, and they had them in trouble, and they nearly sent it to overtime. So, just curious if anybody's paying attention. FGCU hosts FAU this year. If you haven't gone to a game recently, is that enough reason to go? By the way, FGCU women are going to play, in all likelihood, Caitlin Clark in Iowa in that Gulf Coast Showcase. Problem is, it's Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend. Do you know what takes place on the Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend?
Yes, we do, David.
Florida State, Iron Bowl, Ohio State, Michigan. There's a few games that day.
I don't think that Ohio State Michigan game is going to be that interesting this year. Nothing
Yeah.
to talk about. Nothing to talk about over there.
No, it's number 1 against number 3 right now also. I mean, yeah. So I'm just curious, that they're having a leadership change over at FGCU. There will be changes. They'll do things differently going forward. One of the things we've talked about is, they've had a marketing problem. The only way people have gone to their games is when they've won and garnered a ton of attention. And once they're no longer winning at an elite level,
I think that combined with the fact that when Hoffman bought Hertz in the Everblades and the job they've done with refurbishing that, your fan experience inside that arena is better than it's ever been. Ever.
Correct.
And I spent the first 8 years that I lived in Southwest Florida working there as the vice president of sales and marketing. Trust me, the experience has never been better than it is right now.
Agreed.
I mean, they have totally flipped that. They went from when I started working there, we were selling out every game. We never really hit a lull during the time I was there. They hit a lull after I departed, not because of that, but they just hit a lull. And Chris Palin and the group that's there now has brought it all back.
All back.
Remarkable. I don't know off the top of my head of another minor league team that's ever accomplished that. Many have done what the first 8 years were.
Right. The honeymoon, so to speak.
But then when it starts to dissipate and the economy went south.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It didn't just dissipate because, over time it dissipates. It started to dissipate a little bit, and then we had the real estate recession that we had in Southwest Florida, which was top 5 in the country recession.
And they've been able to bring it all back.
All back.
And now it's been a while since I've been to an FGCU basketball game. I'm going to make up for that this year. I plan on attending a few games.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Shame on me for not going more.
Why?
Because it's a driver 9-iron from my house.
No, but it's been a driver 9-iron for the last couple, 2-3 years.
There's 2 reasons. One, I will say, Felipe did work too much. I mean, he had 2 jobs, the girlfriend and everything, because I wanted to go with him a couple of times. But I'm going to make sure that Trent and I are locked into media credentials and that we cover this team.
Mr. College Basketball over there.
Say less.
Right.
Say a whole lot less. You got me.
So that's part of it, that I just think that he and I will, I know he's a college basketball guy. He'll want to go. So that way I've got someone to go with. But I said this to myself about a month ago that I'm going to take in more FGCU basketball this year.
Well, we have talked over the years about the fan experience and what is it they can do. And for the most part, I mean, their fan experience is whether or not they win or not. That's basically what their fan experience has been for 20 years. Are they winning or not? You know, they're sports, if you know what I mean. The Blades are sports and entertainment. You know, they appeal both ways. FGCU, they're just sports. And I don't know, with, you know, their parking situations, not ideal. You know, their arena's not huge. You know, from the entertainment perspective, you know, I think you've got some challenges there.
Yes, but the parking's not as bad as I think you make it out to be. I think the fact that you could tailgate there and there's other elements that they could bring into that pregame, particularly on the weekends, that should be a scene.
Oh, I agree. And it's free. You know,
bingo.
Well, believe me, the parking situation, you know, I've always thought it was better that most people complain about their parking. And I'm always like, it's free, you know. Free. And the tickets are cheap. And if you're in the building, it's a pretty good seat, considering there can't be more than about 4,600 of you. So I'm just curious whether or not, you know, people are out spending money and whether or not that people will start returning to FGCU games. Because even the women, you know, once the pandemic hit, I mean, Mark, they've won 30 games like every damn year.
Right. Write it down. They're going to do it again this year.
Probably. I mean, they're going to be really good. You know, but even 10% less people have been going to see the women play in the post-pandemic. And so that's why I was just curious.
Well, it's probably they don't have enough blue out nights.
Well, I got to admit, it's when I was
If
broadcasting
you wear the right color to a game, then you
I know.
Exercise.
When I was broadcasting the games and I would show up and I'd have like the blue tie on and they're like, you know, today's the green out. And I look at them and I go, yeah, you guys do that. Kind of like every now and then that we think the Blades have too many, you know, jersey auctions. And we're like, okay, guys. All right. It's the 17th one of the year. Enough. All right. We get it. Good cause. I know. But it's kind of the same thing. Blue night, green night, white out. But just could we just, how about you just get them to the game?
But the product has to be good. It does.
How about the product last night? Would you go watch that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know, like I said, it's not a necessity, but when I saw a team pressing and it working and them looking athletic, all right, that's a good thing.
They got Ave Maria, I think, Friday. The women don't have a ton of home games, although, you know, the women host Kentucky mid-December. I'll give Kentucky women's basketball a lot of credit. They have been willing to schedule home and homes with FGCU. This is their second or third time they're coming to Alico Arena. I mean, South Florida won't play FGCU. UCF won't play FGCU. Miami, Florida, Florida State. Kentucky has no problem scheduling a home and home with FGCU.
And that's what Coach Semesco has to do. Fortunately, they get it so he can actually get a couple of games on his schedule in the non-conference, because it's next to impossible for him to fill out a schedule because no one will play him.
I mean, they're a top 25 program 4 years in a row. They're starting their season at Brown and at USC. They can't get games. But they're in the Gulf Coast Showcase. And in the second day of the tournament, they're going to play Caitlin Clark in Iowa.
Saturday, that's too bad, because I'm watching football.
It's Saturday night. It's Saturday night.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. you're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Florida.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Yeah, Sonny, the Detroit dog is legit. It's an actual Detroit Coney Island. I got to find out. Hoping they make their own sauce, because there was a place down here a few years back that would just buy it from Lafayette and sell it. Now, if they're making their own sauce, I'm even more impressed. But the Flint dog, he just put ground beef on a dog, and that's not a Flint dog. There's a spice that goes with the ground beef.
Yeah, you can't just slap it together.
Have you had a Flint dog? Do you know what a Flint dog is?
I do, yes.
Okay, all right.
I'm an advocate for that kind of thing.
But yeah, I dropped the Michigan Coney Island place that opened, or Michigan, whatever it is, but just down the road here. And I've been waiting, and it was open. I dropped the daughter off. It's right by where gymnastics is. So I literally dropped my daughter off at gymnastics, went to the dog place, knocked down 2 dogs, and came back. Found out I got in big trouble yesterday at gymnastics because I was on my phone. Because while she's at gymnastics, I'm reading articles. I'm just doing. She's like, you don't even watch, Dad. If you're gonna come, you've got to watch. They are not Kogels, but they do have a snap to them, because you only can get Kogels in Michigan. But the dogs have a snap to them. I don't know where he found the dogs, but they are Michigan-worthy hot dogs. They've got to be in casings.
Kogels-esque?
Yes.
Kogels are great. Gosh, I haven't had one of those in a while.
They have a company that travels it's Kogels on the road or something like that, but you can buy them online. They're expensive as hell. It's a company that just buys Kogels, and all they do is ship Kogels all over the country.
Brilliant. But
they come around, and they used to come to Fort Myers every year. Now they come as close as Port Charlotte. I would literally buy the big case of dogs and just put them in my freezer.
Nice thing to have. That's a brilliant idea, whoever came up with that.
Well, Canada Relief, I have a soft spot for Michigan dogs. Michigan Coney Islands are special to me, and they do a perfect dog at this Coney Island place. I would take a dog over than a gas, but gas station tacos are right there too. I will say, for those of you in the San Carlos Park area, the Mexican restaurant on Three Oaks Parkway I think it's San Carlos. Phenomenal.
Are you a gas station food guy?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge gas station food guy. Are you kidding me? On these 12-hour trips from Nashville down here, and my car's breaking down, I am pulling over to a truck stop, and I'm eating all that stuff.
Oh.
Love it.
Did you tell them about your favorite tacos?
I'll get them there. Yeah, there's a gas station just down the road that's got great tacos.
Okay, good to know.
You get a lot of that here. A lot of little. There's a Cuban joint that's up on Three Oaks and Corkscrew. That's terrific in a gas station.
Oh, by the way, I found an apartment that is like 7 minutes from here.
Did you?
Yes. I
Really?
think that's where I'm going to be. I'm
Awesome.
heading over there after this to kind of just see,
Wow.
check, before I sign anything. But that's the latest.
Congratulations. No, seriously, it's a big deal. It's tough to find affordable housing in Southwest Florida.
Yeah.
That's a no, Canada Relief.
No,
I'll eat gas station
gas
station food if it's a gas station, if it's a restaurant inside a gas station. I don't eat gas station food.
I have had 7-Eleven pizza.
It's a shame.
It's not.
That's a real shame.
It's definitely not good, but it's not that
No.
bad. They had
No, with all due respect, then you haven't had pizza. You haven't had pizza worth a crap. Then, for you to say something like that,
Look,
my God,
I'm not a pizza snob. I'm not. I'll eat whatever. Pizza's pizza to me. I think pizza's great, except Chicago deep dish. Hate that.
December 30th, by the way, is when FAU comes to town. It's also the same.
Ooh, that's perfect. I'll be doing that when the wife's out of town still.
The Lions are at the Cowboys that night. It's a Saturday night. Trust Monday Night Football got moved to Saturday night. We're doing Detroit at Dallas.
Might be going to that game.
You could do the FGCU game, miss the first quarter, probably, because it's probably a 7:00 start.
I could do the FGCU game and leave when they're down 20 mid-second.
Here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. That's all coming up. The Diamond District bonus hour, Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Our poll question, we're just trying to gauge. We've talked about it a lot today, a little too much for some of you. We get it. Goodness knows we don't always do things right. But we're just trying to gauge, where are you on this whole Michigan thing? Are you like, yeah, it's whatever? Are you like, oh no, man, they got to be punished? Or are you like, no, they got to be punished? So, Mark, how many people are like, oh, please?
41% say do nothing. The other half of the vote is exactly split between suspend for the Big Ten championship and suspend from the college football playoff. So literally 59% of our audience thinks that there should be a major punishment given to Michigan.
And this is from the Big Ten, because we all know the NCAA won't rule on this before the next World Cup, for goodness sakes. But, the Big Ten was the one that said we're conducting our own investigation. According to, is it Pete Thamel, that
Yes.
Michigan got their paperwork in today. They answered all the questions that were asked of them today. And Pete Thamel, Pat Forty, kind of insinuating you could hear from the Big Ten tomorrow. Wouldn't that be something? I'm on record as saying, first off, what I would do, which is suspend them for the Big Ten championship, make them ineligible for the Big Ten title game. Not ineligible for the playoff, but I'd make them ineligible for the Big Ten championship game. But my prediction is the Big Ten will not do that. They will punish Harbaugh. Said it last week. They will thread the needle. They will punish Harbaugh. They will hold him accountable. But they will do nothing to the team. And now we'll see if Michigan can finish the season off at Penn State this Saturday. And then 2 weeks later, they host Ohio State. Kind of a big deal.
I still don't think they do anything. And if tomorrow they come out and suspend Harbaugh for the Penn State game, I'll be blown away. I really will.
So, Mark, you don't think they'll do anything. Do you think they should do anything?
No.
So let me then ask you, what would then stop future programs from doing this if there's no repercussions for
future
it? It's just a
because
bad
they're
look.
because I think they're doing it now. I think the reason you haven't heard coaches up in arms is that they're all doing something.
But couldn't you make the argument that you got caught? Everyone can cheat. Everyone can do what they want to do. If you get caught and you get caught in this, like they are idiots the way they go about this.
Trent, the coach of Arizona basketball was caught on an FBI tape arranging financial deals for 3 recruits.
Before you can pay players.
The actual dollar amount was discussed. Nothing happened to him or Arizona. This is an FBI tape. Nothing happened. I think it's why Mark thinks nothing's going to happen. Will Wade did get fired by LSU eventually. It took 2 years. It took 2 years, but they stood by him about as long as they could. And then when they found out, the NCAA is probably going to, they said, oh, well, in that case, we got to get rid of him.
Now, if this were the University of Miami accused of this, we would already have come to a conclusion and we'd probably have terminated their program.
Right. As Sports Illustrated with another issue that says they need to quit football. Right.
Yep.
Don't you think you haven't heard that from Canes fans either in the last month?
Damn right you have.
And in fact, this should be our poll question. We needed to have more of a sense of humor about this. I hate when we do the serious sports thing. Okay, we should have asked the question, okay, who should get punished in this? Michigan or Central Michigan?
Well, clearly Central Michigan is in big trouble.
They sure are. You're darn right. They gave the sideline passes to the guy that Michigan's now going to say is a nut job.
And the other thing we've kind of broached, and I thought you did a great job of explaining it, David, is everybody wants the speakers in the helmets, letting the coordinators talk directly to the designated person on defense and the quarterback.
Like the NFL.
But it's the coordinators that don't want it.
Who keeps getting hired to be the head coaches in college football? Offensive guys or defensive guys? Who's getting the jobs?
The offensive guys.
Okay. And so, Mark, how do they get these jobs? Points per game, yards. Look at my offense. It's fun. It's exciting. People want to come see it play.
Look at all the plays that we run.
Oh, my goodness. Our plays have plays. Average team runs 73 plays. We run 84. It's exciting.
And the signals, as David pointed out, don't just tell the quarterback what the play is.
Nope.
They tell everyone.
Right.
So what don't you have to do? Huddle.
Right.
The most important thing to televise sports. The huddle. The difference between Saturdays and Sundays is the huddle, which provides us with the replay.
There you go. Yep. Remember, I know you get mad at us sometimes when we say this, but what is the NFL? What is major college football? Wait for it. It's a television show. The difference is college sports doesn't have one overarching commissioner. And the coaches dictate largely to the commissioners in even the major conferences, which is why, by the way, this has the steam that it has in the Big Ten. I mean, trust me, Nick Saban has not gotten his way in the last 5 years for the rule changes that he wants in college sports and in the SEC. He hasn't. And it's not that Greg Sankey necessarily disagrees with him. It's that he looks at Nick and goes, I don't know what to tell you, Nick. The other side's got the votes. My job's a popularity contest. I'm going with the other side. And so back to this whole thing, the offensive coaches are like, I mean, Gus Malzahn, you really going to force Gus Malzahn to huddle? Put the thing in the no, he wants the funny signs on the sidelines, the hand signals.
He wants to play in 3 seconds, and he wants them to be able to run it in 7.
Right.
Not allowing the defense to substitute.
Yeah.
keeping the pressure on the defense, running as many plays as is humanly possible.
Now, you put the little thing in the helmets. Guess what they start doing? Start huddling. You remember the story a few years ago? For those that are regulars to this show, we had Pat Kerwin on, and he was at the Senior Bowl. And we asked him, how's it going? He said, well, you're not going to believe this, but I watched the offensive staff for whatever NFL team it was. I think it was Wisenhunt. Ken Wisenhunt and his staff had one of the two sides. And he said, I watched him spend a half an hour teaching kids how to huddle. No. Call plays, where you stand, okay, receive the play and what have you. Yeah, for 30 minutes, they taught the huddle. That's why there's not radios in the helmets.
I mean, we can't even get them to kneel down under. They can't even go under center for a kneel down play. They have to stay in the shotgun for a kneel down play.
You guys want radios in the helmets. The offensive coaches were like, that's cute. That's funny. What are you going to be like Tom Landry? Have tight ends run in and out with the plays, tell the quarterback, then the quarterback spits it out. So it's like, 3 removed from the guy who called the play. That's hysterical. It's funny. The NFL did just fine during all that. Spurrier alternated quarterbacks on plays. Seemed to work okay.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to make sure you're shopping with the best. And the best when it comes to GIA certified diamonds and diamond jewelry is not online. It's not in the malls. And it's not with any of the new pop-up jewelry stores trying to make a go of it here in Southwest Florida. The best place to buy diamonds is with my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District, who have made Southwest Florida their home for over 20 years now. The largest selection of GIA certified diamonds is with the Diamond District. The only place you'll find diamonds 8 to 10% over cost is with the Diamond District. America's top bridal designers have chosen the Diamond District to represent their engagement rings exclusively in Southwest Florida. Simply put, the best selection, experience, and best prices are with Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Here's what I don't understand. If everyone's doing it, then it's still cheating. And if you get caught doing it, there should be some sort of repercussion.
All right, what?
That's what I don't know. That's where it's, and I think it should come from the Big Ten, not the NCAA, because like David keeps saying, nothing will get done if it's the NCAA.
But it's got to come from the NCAA.
It should, but it won't.
I do think it's a dangerous precedent for conferences to start issuing their own punishments on their own teams.
That's fair. But I think the Big Ten is probably looking at it and they're like, we're getting one of these teams in the playoff. It's either the Ohio State or Michigan. So I don't think it's really,
You kick
I
Michigan.
think so.
You don't let Michigan play in the playoff.
So if Michigan beats Ohio State and then they don't let Michigan in,
right,
that would be something. So
right.
maybe who knows? Maybe we'll have to wait until that game is played, Thanksgiving, to make a call on this. Who knows? I feel like the Big Ten's more likely to do anything, right? At this point, between the two, between the two monsters, it's going to
more
be,
likely. Yes.
If everyone's doing it, that's one thing. It's still cheating, and if you get caught doing it, there should be something. Do we all agree Harbaugh's gone, though? Either way, maybe on his own terms to the NFL.
Well, I do think he's going to get offered the Bears job, but
right.
I don't know necessarily that he takes it.
Please stay at Michigan. Please stay. Please stay. It hurts my university. He's good. It's better for college football with him there.
Oh, it's so much better. Well, also, I mean, Michigan wants to keep him. So everybody likes to go where they're wanted. He's going to have a very hard schedule next year. Very hard. On paper, it looks like the toughest in the country. And he's going to lose a lot.
You mean roster-wise?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just clarifying. All right, fingers crossed the keyboard works. I've got a good feeling.
If you say so. Michigan next year plays Texas, USC, at Washington, Michigan State, Oregon, at Ohio State.
Yeah, you threw Michigan State in there. I'm not sure why.
Oh, you know why.
Yeah, that game's at the big house, too.
But think about it. They don't play Penn State, but they play USC, Oregon, Washington, Texas, Ohio State. They do host Texas, USC, and Oregon. I mean, you're a season ticket holder.
And Sparty.
And Sparty. And the little brown jug.
Oh, thank God for that.
Classic.
Their first 5 games are home, by the way, next year.
Coming
Michigan.
back.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Got to wait one more day for your NFL, although you can bet on it.
That's right.
Although the opposing forces, Mark, have already asked the Florida Supreme Court to step in.
And stop it immediately. Given the fact that Governor DeSantis appointed most of the Supreme Court, the chances of that happening are slim and none.
Right.
But they started the paperwork.
Yes. So sometime next week, they'll be told no.
As Andrew Brandt has famously said, there will be lawyers.
So we're paying attention to that as well.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Two significant events before the turn of the 19th century. 1731, Benjamin Franklin opens the first library in North America, in Philadelphia, of course. And more importantly, almost a moment of silent type moment. In 1789, Elijah Craig first distilled bourbon whiskey from corn. That's right, bourbon was invented today.
Wow. It's a big day.
You're damn right it is. And I'll be pouring some over an ice cube at some point later this evening. 1864, Lincoln elected to a second term. 1889, Montana admitted to the Union as the 41st state. Happy birthday, Montana. Grover Cleveland elected in 1892. X-rays were invented today by a German physicist in 1895.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
1904, Roosevelt elected. FDR beats Hoover in 32. The film The Ten Commandments, released today in 1956. Kennedy beats Nixon in 60. Frank Robinson, selected as the AL MVP today as a Baltimore Oriole outfielder, becoming the first player to win the MVP in both leagues. Tom Dempsey had his record 63-yard field goal today in 1970.
And you got to remember, the goalposts were on the goal line then. So when they sent Tom Dempsey out, they put the ball down on their own 37.
This one's mainly for David. It was today in 1979 that ABC broadcasts Iran Crisis, American Held Hostage. It was the forerunner to Nightline. But my question to you, David, who hosted it?
Well, by asking that question, you're insinuating it's not Ted Koppel.
That's correct.
I'll go Frank Reynolds.
Oh, look at that! Ding, 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 ding. It doesn't matter. Sports, news, politics. He's got it all, folks.
Well, ABC at that time had a three-headed monster for their nightly news. They had Max Robinson out of Chicago, Frank Reynolds out of Washington, and Peter Jennings, I believe, out of London. So that's why I guessed it, because I guess, well, Frank was in Washington. They're either doing the show out of New York or Washington. I'll take a stab and go Frank.
Very good, David. 88, HW beats Dukakis. 91, Paul Coffey sets the record as a scoring mark with his 311th goal. Trump beats Hillary today in 2016. Bram Stoker and Coach Bobby Bowden would have celebrated birthdays today. Coach Bowden would have been 94.
Oh, man. Dadgummit.
Bonnie Raitt is 74, and I've never figured out her popularity. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Bonnie Raitt catching strays in the Diamond District.
I don't get it. And all musicians love her. I don't get it. And I love female musicians. It's not an anti-woman thing. I don't get it. All right. Gordon Ramsay's 57. Flyers GM Keith Jones is 55. And Sam Bradford is 36. And David, I ask you another trivia question here. Care to take a stab at the career earnings of one Sam Bradford?
Oh, wow. He, I believe, was one of the last first overall picks in which basically you can negotiate whatever you want before the rookie scale went in. Then he renegotiated. Then he played hardball a couple times. $214 million.
That's way high. Unfortunately for you, you overbid and do not win the showcase. $130 million in 9 seasons.
Think about that. Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford.
What did I miss, David?
Well, the only thing, since you did a lot of politics today, a lot of elections and what have you, today was the day that the United States changed. 29 years ago today. Tim Russert went on the Today Show in the morning, and they're asking him the traditional questions, and he says, I'm going to just throw a little something at you today. Don't be surprised if by tonight we're saying Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich. And it was like, you got to be kidding me. Are you kidding? They'd have to win like 40 seats. Yeah, they did. And then some. So the Republican Revolution was today in 1994. It was such a revolution. You know who got elected to Congress? Sonny Bono.
Sonny Bono. I almost put that in. I saw that. Yep.
So there you have it. 29 years ago today.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, we go to Cypress Lake High School, where in their game against Fort Myers High, Coach Joey Mendez pulled aside senior Peyton Melton, who is a special needs student who has helped out with the football team since he was a freshman, and said it was time to get in the game. And they had worked it out so that in their final game, they set up a play for Peyton to score a touchdown. So great job by Cypress Lake, Fort Myers High, the coaches, the athletic directors, and everybody for getting that done. For the bad, we go to the gritty streets of Cape Coral, where Sean Rousset and Brandy Banzer tried to book a room into a hotel. They did so with fake IDs. They also had racked up $1,000 worth of charges on a stolen debit card. And when finally confronted, they had fake IDs all up and down the coast. From Michigan to Texas to Florida. They had fraudulent IDs and credit cards, and now, well, they'll spend some time in Collier County. Finally, the ugly, we go to Port Charlotte, where a woman is accused of trying to run over a Port Charlotte high school security guard. Apparently, she had just dropped off her child. She tried turning around to go the wrong way down a one-way entrance. So, like any sane person, when the security guard tried to stop her from doing so, she tried to run him down.
No, for goodness sakes.
She claims she didn't want to go over speed bumps that damaged her vehicle.
Now, who does, sweetheart?
And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, November the 8th, 2023.
Young Felipe. He'll be in his glory tonight after a day off. 14 NBA games. Only Orlando and Atlanta don't play tonight. They play tomorrow night. But the Heat are in Memphis. The Grizzlies, without John Morant, are 1-6, by the way. But the ESPN double dip, Mark and Trent, 7:30, Wemby at Madison Square.
That's got to be a tough ticket right there.
Spurs and Knicks. I will say at 10 o'clock, the 6-2 Warriors visit the 7-1 Denver Nuggets on ESPN. That's interesting. Just throwing that out there. We've got action tonight, guys.
Yes, we do.
Another triple header. Akron at Miami of Ohio. That's 2-7 against 7-2. Bowling Green's at Kent State. That's 5-4 against 1-8. And then Eastern Michigan trying to be bowl eligible at 4-5, taking on the best team in the MAC, the Rockets from Toledo. Akron, Miami of Ohio, 7 o'clock on U. Bowling Green, Kent State, 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. And Eastern Michigan, Toledo get the deuce at 7:30.
David, you have a spread on that one? Toledo, Eastern?
18.5.
Wow.
And I'll take the Rockets and lay the points.
I like
all three favorites are double digits tonight in the MAC. Miami of Ohio at home, 17.5. Bowling Green on the road, 10. Toledo at home, 18.5.
We going to get another all games tied in the fourth?
Not
tonight?
even close. We're going to get blowout city. One good night, one bad night.
3 games in the NHL tonight. TNT's got a doubleheader. The Panthers Caps are the first game. Little OV, who's off to a slow start. And Kings.
Because he's old and slow.
I understand that, but it hasn't stopped them the last couple of years. LA Kings, Las Vegas Golden Knights, 10 o'clock on TNT. 2 of the 3 games in the NHL. But, Mark, you don't get to see the Panthers play anymore because you cut the cord. You don't get the Panthers are blacked out. And so now if you want TNT tonight, you can see the Panthers.
Yep. I'll watch a little Florida Panthers hockey tonight. Watched the Lightning last night after the Red Wings went down 5 spit.
Yeah, that was surprising.
So there you have it. That's what's on tap for tonight. Tomorrow, the NFL back in full swing with a riveting game.
Hey, come on. You can bet on it. Take it easy.
You may have a problem if you're betting on Carolina and Chicago.
Yes, you may.
What's the over? Do we know?
I'm
That
sorry,
has
what?
under written all over it. I just was wondering what the over-under is. David.
38.5.
Under. This has 10-13 written all over it.
Fields not expected to play. He was limited at practice yesterday.
Probably would play if it was Sunday, don't you think?
I don't know. I don't know that they're in a hurry to play him, to be brutally honest. You know who's back in action tonight? FAU's season opener. And I give him credit. Dusty May has not ducked, they were Loyola Chicago of a few years ago. You know who they're playing tonight on the road in Chicago? Loyola Chicago. FAU, 6.5 point favorite. Yeah. So, you know what's disappointing? Okay, you can't find that game anywhere.
FAU is ranked, correct?
They're top 10
in the country. Yeah, I want to bet with Mark. We make about 831 bets a year. We keep track. I lose every year. Every year. At the end of the year, I owe every year. But I won that one.
Right.
I said FAU would be preseason top 10. He's like, are you high? I'm like, they got everybody coming back. But you would think, there's a few networks that televise college basketball. FAU, Loyola, Chicago. Last year's Cinderella, Sister Jean.
What's on CBS Sports Network?
Well, the damn MAC game. Okay, well, what's on FS1? Do you know what was on the 4-letter network last night leading into hockey? Pickleball.
I was going to guess cornhole.
Pickleball.
Hey, just wait. We're only a few months away from that fake golf league. That's all played in Miami, but the teams play in different cities. It's the USFL of golf.
By the way, John Rahm pulled out of that league. Called Tiger and Rory up and said, upon further review, I'm good. I don't need this. I find that interesting. Am I overanalyzing this? Because John Rahm seems to be the guy in which he's like, listen, I don't have a problem with any of the LIV guys. In fact, I think some of them should have been on the European Ryder Cup team. And, I like the PGA Tour, but not exactly crazy about how they're doing their business either.
I think he's maybe a little sick of Rory. It's Rory's league. I mean, it's Rory and Tiger's league, but Tiger's, you can't touch him.
Right.
I think maybe he's just a little annoyed with Rory.
I think it's possible. Also, you got to remember, John Rahm and Phil are friends.
Good friends.
Yeah. In fact, maybe really good friends. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you have the opportunity to avoid all this,